Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. You are watching us live from Barbados, beautiful Barbados. Welcome to those who are watching us from the diaspora, those who are watching us, whether it is from the UK, from the USA, from Canada, those of you in Africa who are watching us. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Those from the region, welcome. Today is a great day. Today is a wonderful day. And I just want you to continue to like and to share. Everybody, welcome. It's going to be an awesome night. And to those in Barbados, I want to say to us that the deception that's woven into the fabric of the system is now officially raveling. The shadows can no longer hide Barbados. The people can no longer be blinded. Barbados, we are not just a voice. We are a frequency, a force that disrupts the false narratives and rends the veil of manipulation. The corruption of this government is a tower built on sand, and with every truth we speak, its foundation cracks. Every lie exposed is another pillar falling. They fear you, Barbados. They fear you because they cannot silence what was sent by divine order. The yard fowls, the media puppets, the psychological warfare, they are the last desperate echoes of a dying system. Their power is an illusion. Their strength is borrowed. Their time is up. No algorithm, no campaign, no false trial can touch what is protected by divine force. No weapon of this deception shall prosper. No force shall breach this shield. No attack shall find its mark. Barbados, walk boldly, for you do not walk alone. We are guided, fortified, unstoppable. It is done. Barbados, it is sealed. That is something that was sent to me this evening by one of our viewers. I won't call any names, but I got that this evening and I was so moved by it, and I asked them permission for us to play that tonight. And the next thing that had me all very teary-eyed this evening was something that Dave sent me that occurred almost exactly a year ago, March 23rd, 2024. We had a march. And we invited this gentleman to the march. Who remembered? And would you believe we're having a march tomorrow? That was March 23rd, Saturday, 2024. Tomorrow is March 22nd, 2024. And from the moment Dave sent me and I started to feel teary-eyed, I remembered. I said to myself, I believe this is 1 year to the date, you know. And my husband said to me, Marcia, it is. It is. Dave, let's play this.
People. And if we are people with self-esteem, and if we are people with pride, if we are people who recognize that our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents sacrificed to build this country, what do we have to be ashamed of? And we do not come with any spirit of fear. And we will do this and continue to do this because I want to thank you for the support you've given me. I really want to thank you, Barbados, Marcia, Lamamba, Bongo Lights, Kimar, Caswell. I really want to thank you for reminding this country that there are some voices out there who are still interested in pursuing justice and democracy against tyrannical rule, because it is clear to you at this point that one person is running Barbados. One person is running Barbados. One person is making all of the decisions. But we come in defiance of that one person. And we come to this place this Saturday afternoon because we are not afraid. And courage and integrity and honesty and decency will be a part of
goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Folks, you know, I tell you, this part of the anthem stood out to me. With him still on the people's side, we have no doubts or fears. With him still on the people's side, we have no doubts or fears. And that's what we're taking on the street on Saturday, March 22nd at 10 a.m. tomorrow. It is tomorrow, people, at 10 a.m. We will not be distracted. We will not be distracted. We are not afraid. We're going to come out tomorrow. You are going to get dressed, you know, and put on your walking shoes. And we are ready to open up our hearts and display the love that we have in our hearts for this beautiful country. Upwards and honors, we shall go, guys. Yes, yes, yes. With him still on the people's side, we have no doubts or fears. And it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Get ready. We will have some water for you. We're going to have water there for you, but you can still walk with your own water if you so desire. But we're going to have water for you there tomorrow, you know, so that you're refreshed. We always make sure. And we need you to wear comfortable choose. If you have to take your medication, take medication. Those of you who might be diabetic, remember, walk with, whether it's a sweet or, walk with a granola bar, something extra. If you need it, make sure you have breakfast. Those of you who need to take your breakfast, okay? So we don't have any issues out there. We're trying to make sure we have a vehicle just in case anybody falls ill, that you'll be able to go into that vehicle and it can transport you, all right? But we want you to do what you need to do. Take your vitamins before you come, take your medication before you come, okay? And make sure that you have your water, you're refreshed, whatever it is you need. Walk with your little mint and your sweets, or, a granola bar, something. And put a little extra in case somebody forget theirs and you can help them. Those of you who are able to walk with some donation for us. All right. We're still collecting donations. Walk with some donations for us. We got some more today and we're getting there. Walk with some donations. All right. And whatever is left over, we will put it for the next event because we know it's coming. Because we're not stopping. We are not stopping. We have seen that they are afraid, but we are not afraid. Barbados, we are not afraid. We are not afraid. Tomorrow, as we go out on the streets tomorrow, we go and we take with us the spirit of this beautiful young lady who is on the screen. I showed you Ralph Thorne before, who is now the leader of the opposition. Last year, March 23rd, he went on the street with us because he would have just crossed about probably 3 weeks before that, on February 9th or 10th. And on March 23rd, he was out on the street with us, and he coined the phrase for us, "We are not afraid." And here we are 1 year later, this young lady who is still a member of the BLP. So this is not about party. I don't know if you get it by now. I want you to understand it by now, that I'm not about party. I know for a lot of you, you can't understand that because that's all you grew up knowing. This is a color here that I this is what we line up behind the flag. I don't care the color of the party. So those of you who are saying, "Oh, she has not left the BLP," I don't care. I don't, and you should not care either. One, she is representing Barbados and defending Barbados. This young lady, yes, there were a lot of rumblings about this before, and people were making mention of things before. But this young lady really, really, really started a big ball rolling. She kind of came and pushed that ball then a little further, a lot further. And she took the fall for it. She lost her job as a senator for it. Tomorrow when I march, I don't just march in the name of my ancestors, but I also march in the name of this young lady tomorrow, Dr. Crystal Haynes. She's not a friend of mine, and she doesn't need to be a friend of mine. She's a friend of Barbados. She loves Barbados, guys. Please, let us forget party. It's about our love for our country. She stood up in fear and she spoke. And if Dr. Crystal Haynes could have stood up in fear, understanding that she could have lost her job, she was told not to go to Senate today. This young lady defied what they told her to do. And she went out. Was she afraid? You could hear the fear in her voice. You heard a little bit of it. Yes, Tony Williams, it's a Unite Barbados. We're calling on BLP supporters. We're calling on DLP supporters. We're calling on those who are none of the above, who are independent, people who don't even believe in voting, Black, white, Indian. We're calling on Barbadians from every corner. Can we just please drop the labels tomorrow? Can we drop the labels for one day? Can we put Barbados first? Can we have those of BLP supporters who are against what they are seeking to do in this country, to destroy the heritage, to destroy culture, to destroy the soul of this country? Can we have some BLP supporters out tomorrow? Can we just stop drawing that line in the sand and I am over here and you're over here? Can we do that for one day? Those of you who are on this program, you come every night and you look for something to quarrel about. And can we just not do that tomorrow? Can tomorrow be a day when you don't call anybody foreigner because they weren't born here? People like myself who are naturalized citizens, like Sonny, who's a naturalized citizen and fighting on behalf of Barbados. Can we just not hear that tomorrow? Can we be a united voice asking, as Dr. Crystal Haynes asked, can you save something for us? Us meaning BLP, DLP, Rastafarian, Christians, Hindus, Muslims. Can we be one Barbados, carrying the voice of our ancestors tomorrow? The same ancestors who, when slavery was completed, they gave those beach lands to them. Those same ancestors who tried to grow things, grow food in that beach land. They were growing guinea corn in that beach land. They were trying their hands with crops because they gave them the worst. They gave in their minds, the planters, those colonizers gave them the worst land, and our ancestors took that land to people and they made something of it. They built homes on that land, homes that can be moved. They used the land. They were resourceful. And as soon as they settled down and sugar was not, the crop was not, could not bring in the income of the day anymore, the colonizers wanted the beach lands again. They took it back from Black Barbadians. And to this day, they keep taking it back and they keep pushing us inland. Is that what we want for ourselves? Is that what we want for ourselves, Barbados? For us to be continually disrespected, continually manipulated? Where's our self-respect? Where's our love for country? Where is our love for country? Where are those who will lay down on the ground and say to those people who come with the bulldozer, you're going to have to bulldoze me off this ground? Where are those people? Where are those who, like Esther, will say, if I perish, I perish? Who are those that are willing to risk their jobs, like Dr. Crystal Haynes? Who are those who are willing to stand up to the system, like a Ralph Thorne? Making a decision, he doesn't know politically where it's going to land him, but he made a decision a year ago to cross the floor. And no, Crystal Haynes, we're not friends. But I don't have to be friends with someone to recognize a God moment. That Crystal Haynes moment was a God moment for Barbados. The Ralph Thorne moment is a God moment. We could always stay partisan and we miss it. But you know what? You know what? One of these days, if we don't heed Barbados, we will find ourselves 6 or 7 years later going back to Ralph Thorne's speeches and going back to Dr. Crystal Haynes' speech. We will find ourselves going back to shows like these, going back to alternate views, some Kimar, going back to things that Lumumba said, and going back to what Bongo said, just like we're doing with Owen Arthur. When he made that speech, nobody listened to him. Look at where we are today. Look at where we are today. When people like me were saying, why doesn't he move aside and let the woman lead the party? And why is he calling her a despot? Look at it today. The man is in the grave and we're playing that. We're playing his video. We're playing his recording today. Oh, Mr. Thorne's speech is too long and he's too this. And you know what? Is it that we're going to wait till 6, 7 years later? We are going back to go play that speech, and we're going back to go and play the speech of Dr. Crystal Haynes? Is that what's going to happen to us, Barbados? And I want to say to us, the time is coming, Barbados, when corporately we will have to move together. We're going to have to find what we have in common, and we've got to work with each other. Somebody said here in the comment section, if somebody is a BLP supporter and they come and they march, aren't they marching against the government? Is that how you see it? How about them marching for Barbados? How about we march for Barbados? Let's do something for Barbados for a change. Let's make some sacrifice for Barbados for a change. How about that? I came on here tonight. I'm not able to broadcast to my Facebook persons. Those of you who can put out a message, everybody has to come on YouTube, because some persons have, according to Facebook, they have reported me so many times that the very ad that we paid for, that's how I knew that it was targeted. The ad was the first thing, the paid ad, the boosted ad that I took the monies that was donated and paid for the ad to be boosted, and that ad was topped by Facebook because they said the ad had content that was against the standard of Facebook. I'll put it up quickly so that you see. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I won't be distracted by these people, you know. No distraction, but I have to speak about it tonight because I know everybody didn't see the live today, but I don't want to spend a long time on it. This is what they said the ad did. It contained illegal activities. Barbadians would go ahead and write to Facebook to tell Facebook that the ad about Barbados with the map of Barbados on it contains illegal content relating to illegal activities, violent acts, sensitive subjects such as suicide. that the account has contents that promote and glorifies violence, hatred, and discrimination based on race, religion, gender, and political affiliation. This is the ad that they wrote. Barbadians wrote about this ad to get the ad removed. This is a consciousness that we're in, that we would write something like that, a lie. This is this beautiful ad promoting a Love Barbados march. Yes. And then they went on, and Facebook says, we have suspended your page. They have received multiple reports. Multiple. Would an American be concerned about that ad? Would someone in Afghanistan be concerned about that ad? It has to be our brothers and sisters in Barbados who did this to themselves. Why do we not love ourselves? Errol Barrow says, what kind of mirror image do we have of ourselves? What is the mirror image that we have of ourselves, Barbados? That we would hate ourselves. We would not love ourselves. That we would do this to an ad that promotes love for Barbados. Right after that, someone tried to log into my account. Another fellow sister or brother from Flat Rock, Barbados, to lock me out of my account. Facebook recognized at that time, and they alerted us. Okay? And I'm here to report to you tonight that right after that, about 2 hours or an hour and so after, Facebook wrote us and told us that we have been hacked. Hacked. Barbadians. Why don't we? What is it about ourselves? Huh? Why is it we don't love ourselves? Why don't we love ourselves? I want us to stop and think about that. That an ad that says love Barbados March, you would do something like that. The current status of my 2 Facebook accounts, with over 11,000 persons on those accounts, the account is no longer workable. It's disabled. I'm not even able to message Facebook. The 2 accounts that I've spent years are disabled. Why? What did I do wrong? Nothing. Barbadians, let us begin to love one another. And first of all, love yourself. Love yourself. You are worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. Our ancestors knew that. Our ancestors knew that, people. I want us to change our mindset about ourselves. Bob Marley says, none but ourselves can free our minds. Is that what it says? Am I paraphrasing it correct? Folks, we must love ourselves. Why do I feel so teary-eyed tonight? I feel very teary-eyed tonight because it's so clear to me what the real issue is. You know, we focus a lot on what the government is doing, and the problem is we don't love ourselves. Barbados is not just the trees and the beaches and the beautiful sand. It's the people. And if we don't love, this is what they did to a Love Barbados march. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living to do credit to my nation. Now, the truth is, I had to read that. I don't know that pledge, but I've lived there 26 years. I've lived longer in Barbados than I've lived in Jamaica. I know I say it all the time. Sometimes I wonder, I said, why God has put this love in my heart. Some of you don't like me to talk about God, but that's my foundation. Folks, and even now we're dealing with this serious thing, and it's, you know, people are getting distracted in the comment section. And I keep saying, everybody who comes on here, you don't come on here because you want to see change in Barbados. I know that. A lot of you have not come here on when the nights come. Some of you come to be entertained. Some of you have nothing more to do. I want you to ask yourself, why do you listen every night? 4 nights a week. Why are you listening? What is it that you want to see? What's your purpose in being here? Wow, I went over time. But at some point, I'm going to, just seeing Dr. Crystal Haynes had me fired up listening to Honorable Ralph Thorne last year, this time, telling us that we are not afraid. Got me really teary-eyed. And I didn't play the clip, but we're going to play it before the night is up. But I have with me tonight, folks, one of our dumpling from the diaspora. I hope he doesn't mind me calling him a dumpling from the diaspora. And tonight, folks, you know, if you're interested in education, it's that time. We have with us Mr. ADRIAN HINDS, and he's hailing all the way from Boston. And he is going to be speaking to us about the Westminster system. And I learned a lot from it, to be honest. I'm always learning on this show. You know, I'm always learning on this show. And I'm always learning, and I want you guys, look, if I tell you I'm doing something, I'm doing it, right? Because I'm very serious about what this is about for me. I've got my little book here. And I think he's still getting ready. He has to give me a thumbs up when he's ready. I think he's still getting ready. He has to give me a thumbs up when he's ready. I can see him. But while he's getting ready, how many of you are part of the Barbados Public Workers Credit Union? I think I asked that, and I got a few people last night saying that. Okay, he's ready. But let me just give this little announcement here. Listen, folks, there is a bylaw meeting tomorrow, this Saturday and next Saturday, for the Barbados Public Workers Credit Union. It's a bylaw meeting for the Barbados Public Workers Credit Union this Saturday and next Saturday. And we're asking everybody, go and check the website. That's all I can say about it. Go and check the website. It's so important that we involve ourselves when decisions are being made. Very important. Listen, these are institutions that our foreparents worked hard to establish, that we could participate in them. And in order to keep them the way that they're supposed to be, with transparency, integrity, accountability, we need to get in the process. All right. So go check your website on that. All righty. I think Mr. Hinds is ready. Good night, a dumpling from the diaspora.
No, I do not mind being referred to as a dumpling. Yes, good night, Marcia. Good night to the loyal opposition. Good night to Barbados. It's good to be here. And
Yes.
yeah, so last Sunday I dealt with Westminster. Didn't get to complete it, but this tonight I just want to talk about what I refer to as the ordering of Barbados with regards to how the British government used certain documents to show that they owned us, to demonstrate how they gave Barbados self or internal governance while keeping external and military affairs to themselves, and then when
Yes.
they gave us full independence. So I just want to finish Westminster by saying that what we have today as Westminster governance is about the power of the prime minister, the splitting of what made an absolute monarch, succession rights and royal prerogative. This is what the British did. The British allowed the royal family to keep succession rights, took away the royal prerogative, and put it within the office of the prime minister. And that's why you would hear two things. I would say that the Brits love the monarchy, but not necessarily their monarchs. And this arrangement of taking away the power that really made a monarch a real monarch and giving it to the prime minister is what they did. In addition to having that power in the office of the prime minister in these days have led to some people reversing the concept of having a monarchy within or beneath the folds of the republic. And we see that today because people are using all types of terminologies to define what is occurring in the leadership of this country, from monarchical to despotic to authoritarian to autocratic, generally exercising all of the powers of the office to an extent that we've never seen before, and people feel very uncomfortable. And this is why I kept saying that, and not to let the current holder of that office off, but the system really needs to change if we need to tamper down the power that a prime minister can wield if they so desire. So with that, again, 20 minutes doesn't give me a lot of time to do justice to that subject, but I think it's enough to let people understand that when the opposition leader spoke about a republic and having a Westminster constitution, that is what he's talking about in essence. It just takes away from representative governance, having a leader of the country, unelected leader of the country in the form of a prime minister with so much power. So tonight I want to deal with the ordering of Barbados and get all the way down to the Constitution. There's some people that question whether we have a constitution. I just want to put that in out there that we do, and to explain why I think that we still do, even though there are some issues with it.
Yes.
So yeah, tonight I'm going to talk about four documents. One is the Letters Patent Barbados 1917 document. The British Caribbean Federation Act of 1956, hold on a minute.
In the meantime, guys, please like and share, everybody. Like and share, everybody, so that we can, which is very important as well, because one of the things that they do is that's something called shadow banning. and they will report, like take for example this YouTube page, they've done it to us before, and all they have to tell YouTube is that the content is offensive to them. And if enough people say the content is offensive to them, then what YouTube does is that they will just decide to allow, put us lower down in terms of the algorithm. People can't find us. We've had that happen. So I know that if they've done stuff to the Facebook accounts, the next thing they're going to do is this YouTube channel. So that's why we ask you all the time to like and to share, because it's a signal to the algorithm that people like what they're watching, you see. So if you haven't done that, and how you like it, there's a thumbs up button. Just click the thumbs up button, all right, and that would be great. Are we ready again?
Yes, I was just having some problems with this chair. Anyway, so there are 4 documents: Letters Patent, Barbados 1917, the British Caribbean Federation Act of 1956, the West Indies Act of 1962, Letters Patent Consolidation 1964. Those are 4, but the 5th document would be the Barbados Independence Act of 1966, which is British primary legislation that completely severs Barbados' ties to the UK in the context of us being a colony of England. So Letters Patent Barbados 1914, Letters Patent was a legal instrument that established the office of Governor and Commander-in-Chief of the island of Barbados and its dependencies. The Letters Patent was passed under the Great Seal of the Realm in July 4th, 1914. Think of the Letters Patent as a title deed to a car or to a house.
Yes.
You own the car, you own the house, but you really don't, because especially if you finance the car or the home, you have a mortgage, the actual title deed belongs to the company that loaned you the money until you've paid it off. So that's what, think of Letters Patent as that. The British is showing by this Letters Patent 1917 that they owned the island of Barbados, right? There were several amendments during the years leading up to the revocation in 1964 by the Letters Patent Consolidation. Now, 1970 and 1964, a number of things happened in between there. But in 1964, that Letters Patent, was still in, I'm getting a little confused here. So there were several amendments during the years leading up to the revocation of the 1964 Letters Patent Consolidation. It should be noted that the Letters Patent Barbados 1914 Barbados was still a full colony. The British Caribbean Federation Act of 1956, during the period 1958 to 1962, the 1914 patent, Letters Consolidation Patent, was still in force, but the formation of the West Indies Federation was brought about by the British Caribbean Federation Act of 1956. So we were still a colony, even though we were trying to form a federation within the British arrangement, right? This act established the legal basis for the federation of several British Caribbean colonies, forming the West Indies Federation, right? And we all know what that was, to create a political union among these Caribbean islands. The West Indies Act of 1962. In 1962, after the Federation failed, this act was passed to dissolve the British Caribbean 1956 Act and to establish new forms of government for certain West Indian colonies. The act also established common court to hear appeals from the court of relevant colonies, and the act came into effect on April 18th, 1962. And one of the things you've seen so far is this: something comes into play, and then something comes and remove it. And the way they do that, if you were to look at the West Indies Act of 1962, the very first part of it, it will say this act revokes the British Caribbean Federation Act of 1956, and that's what they always do. When something comes into play, the first thing listed in there, it says it revokes the other one. So Letters Patent Consolidation 1964 versus Letters Patent Barbados 1914. Why consolidation? What was the difference between the 1914 and 1964 Letters Patent? A summary: the Letters Patent in 1914 was issued when Barbados was still a British colony. and it granted the Governor General extensive powers to govern on behalf of the British monarch. So the Governor General was where the power was, and this is
Right.
something that I'm skipping ahead, but when we got self-governance under the letters patent consolidation, all of the powers of those crowned Governor Generals, as I call them, were transferred to the office of the Premier at the time, right? So those Governor Generals function like monarchs within the islands, and the Premiers had that power as it was given to them wholly without any delineation at all. It was during the letters patent consolidation of 1964 that foreign affairs were still the responsibility of the Crown. Now, we've had an individual who in 2021, when the Constitution was changed to reflect that we now have a president instead of a Governor General, was of the opinion that we were losing something called, that he referred to as insurance. He was of the mistaken view that by becoming a republic in the way that it was done, that we will no longer have British military protection. And I was amazed to hear that people in 2021 were still thinking that after 1966 that we were still entitled to British military protection. We were not. In 1966, we were a sovereign country, and that if the British were to come to our aid, it would have been through a mutual agreement that that we would have reached out and asked for that. But they were under no arrangement or no responsibility to us to come to our aid. Like
Yes.
when they went to the Falklands was still a colony, so they went to the Falklands when Argentina wanted to take over. We didn't have that after 1966. So to hear someone say that in 2021, I think that they were of the mistaken view that we were still under letters patent consolidation 1964. Certainly not under the Barbados Independence Act of 1966. So I want to make that distinction, because I think these kind of things, these kinds of misunderstanding of how we are governing and the various changes that happen throughout the years in our history leads to a lot of confusion that kind of stymies us from doing what we need to do with confidence in today's Barbados. So that brings me to the Constitution.
Yes.
Now, in 1966, we got independence, and the way that was done, remember the thing that was in place that the British used to show that they owned us was the letters patent consolidation 1964. So that
Yes.
had to be revoked, right? So how did they do that? The British passed the law, the Barbados Independence Act of 1966. It is British law. And in that, the very first part of it, it tells you that full responsibility is now to the government of Barbados. They severed all ties in terms of ownership, right? And then later on in that act, it says that this act revokes the letters patent consolidation 1964, right? So part of the confusion that I hear among people, some people asking or believing that we don't have a constitution, and there's this town crier that walks around in Bridgetown saying that we don't have a constitution. There are a number of things. There are two ways to revoke. All right, let me step back a little. The Barbados Independence Act, as primary British law, had attached to it what's called the Barbados Independence Order of 1966. That's an order in council. It's a secondary law. It's really a set of frameworks on how to actuate the requirements in the act itself. So that order was never real actionable British law, not on or after November 30th, 1966. And that order had attached to it as a schedule the Constitution of Barbados. The Constitution of Barbados was drafted in Barbados by Barbadians, taken to England, and discussed at the Barbados Constitutional Conference, where the British had questions, concerns that they had to meet. Once the British were satisfied that these concerns and questions were answered, they agreed to allow Barbados to become independent, right? So one way to revoke an order in council, like the independence order, right? In Barbados is an act called the Revocation and Amendment, the Order in Council Revocation and Amendment Act 1970. But that act, it clearly states on the first page, cannot be used to make any changes to the Barbados independence order, right? So the other way that you can make changes to such an order in council that can only be changed by what's called explicit confirmation, meaning that you have to have actual votes in Parliament, right? Is by a 2/3 majority vote to revoke. You would have to use a 2/3 majority vote to revoke the Barbados independence order, because it's such a special order that is within that order as the framework for the Independence Act, where it states that we will become a constitutional monarchy, that we will have a governor general, and that Queen Elizabeth would be the Queen of Barbados. Another problem that we had in how people interpret all of this is that they think of Queen Elizabeth in the context of Barbados as Queen Elizabeth of England, but really it's Queen Elizabeth of Barbados. And this can be proven by just Googling British Hansard for the Constitutional Conference. And in there, clearly you will hear that the Queen, Her Majesty is now the Queen of Barbados. It's very clear on that the constitutional monarchy in 1966 is really a fully locally owned constitutional monarchy of Barbados, Queen of Barbados being Queen Elizabeth, right? So in 2021, the government of Barbados, by a 2/3 majority, voted to revoke the independence order as outlined in the Constitution. And here's why it was not revocable by the 1970 Act, right? The constitutional foundation in the independence order of 1966, the sovereignty status and parliamentary autonomy within that order meant that that particular act, the act that I refer to, Order in Council Revocation and Amendment Act of 1970, could not be used, that they had to have a 2/3 vote in both houses of parliament in order to do that. And as much as, you know, we may not like the way she did, the prime minister did it, I didn't certainly like it. I think it was an important thing that should truly be a 2/3 majority of how to put it, it shouldn't be based on a parliament made up of like-minded people or the same party people, but that's what it is. The law didn't clearly say that the 2/3 majority must be across political party lines. It didn't state that. It just says a 2/3 majority. So by law, it was done correctly. So I wanted people to think of the Constitution, the Independence Order, and the Act as 3 separate documents: the Barbados Independence Act of 1966, the Barbados Independent Order of 1966, which is secondary law, and the Constitution of Barbados, right? Now, the Independence Order of 1966 at Section 12 states clearly how it can be altered, right? It says to look at Section 49(5) of the Constitution on how to alter the Independence Order. So in essence, if one document, the order, is telling you to look at the Constitution, clearly that's 2 documents, right? Because some people tend to believe that the order contained the Constitution and that it's one document with separate parts, but it's 2 documents. And also, it also tells you that the same way you would alter the Constitution is the same way you will alter the Independence Order. Also in that section of the Constitution, it tells you what it means by altering. So it is wrong for anybody to step outside of the Constitution to look for the definition of altering and then apply it to what should be done with the Constitution or with the Independence Order. It tells you clearly in there what should be done. And if I go over here, Right. So Section 5 of the Constitution, with regards to alternate, it says references to this Constitution or any particular provision thereof includes references to any other law, insofar as the law alters the Constitution, or as the case may be, that provision. And in essence, it's really saying, well, yes, here in the Constitution, this is how you alter it. It can also use this part of the Constitution to alter the independence order, right?
Yeah.
The part that the town crier tends to use to defend his assertion that we have no Constitution is that he says in that section, he says that you cannot reenact the Constitution, right? And Section 49.5.1 pretty much tells you that to repeal it, that you can repeal it with or without reenactment thereof, or making a different provision in lieu thereof. In essence, the government, if they have a 2/3 majority, can do whatever they want with it. And that's what they did. They revoked the independence order with the Constitutional Amendment Act of 2021. And clearly in that act, it states that the independence order has been revoked and that they have made changes to the Constitution. Again, the Section 49.5 of the Constitution clearly says that you can do that. You can revoke, you can repeal, you can reenact or not reenact, you can make different provisions. As long as you have a 2/3 majority of Parliament, you can do that. So this just short. Again, there's a lot more information on there. I'm conscious of time, but I want to put that out there that there is concise information, very clearly put out, that what took place in 2021 was legal, not necessarily the right way because of the importance of it, to walk around to say that we do not have a Constitution, which gives people pause, or could have led, thankfully nobody really listens to that, could lead people to act in an unlawful or uncivil way by saying that it is wrong, it is not right.
Yeah. Well, do you have, I mean, I know Mr. Franklin has done some sessions on that.
Yeah.
So I've heard Mr. Thorne on that, and now you, I mean, and I think it's very, very clear. And I always try to correct people when I hear them with that. But there is a question, just one question before we close this segment. And this is going to be a regular thing. But I know you understand that, because it is so technical. Well, for me, that I have to literally be writing as you're speaking. I need it in bite sizes, right?
Yeah.
So there's a question though, just before you go and before Mr. Thorne comes to us. The question is by Jacqueline Allen, and she's saying, why as a sovereign country do we maintain the Westminster system, parliamentary system, and education system? Can you answer that in 3 minutes?
Well, I don't know about the educational system. The Westminster system is what we've had all along, and it's what Britain and so many other former colonies use, with different adaptations of it. People felt comfortable with it. They didn't want, I guess there was some backlash or some, with going independence and maintaining some semblance of what people were familiar with as a crown colony. Kind of makes sense that we did it at that time, to give that semblance of having a monarchy when in fact we really didn't. So yeah, I think that's why it was necessary, but it was always a system that, should the wrong person enter that office of prime minister, I say wrong, could lead to what we are saying today: excessive use of the powers of the office, and not necessarily so in the interest of the majority of people. And that's what we're saying. I mean, pretty much what the powers of this office is what the president of the United States would like to have in the U.S. to be an authoritarian.
And
he doesn't. And yeah. So yeah.
We still have a couple minutes. So let me ask you, What do you, Nigel Newton is asking, Adrian, do you think that we should now seek, I think is seek to limit the power of government?
Well, absolutely. I've been saying that for the longest while. I think it's an avenue that we could that not we a political party could use to assuage that 60% of Barbadians who've walked away from the political process to come back. If they, think through and come up with a detailed set of negotiations, as I like to call it, with that public, that 60%, um, understanding their angst, understanding that they don't see any difference between these and these, understanding that they see and understand why they walked away from it. They don't see any progress, no progress towards enfranchisement. Here's what I would say. Tell them, hey, look, we've had one system under the B's and under the D's, and I think that if we look at the system and have clear instructions on transparency or what you plan to do to bring transparency into legislation and integrity into legislation and limiting the power of the prime minister, either by making sure that the cabinet is a fixed size, making sure that elections are a fixed date, making sure that parliament maintains its authority over cabinet, its oversight, over cabinet. There are ways to do this, many ways, making sure that irrespective of the outcome of an election, that there's always an opposition. Singapore does that. These things, if you make this, and I think it would appeal to that 60% that this party or these set of politicians are really serious about having a governance system, or also bringing back some level of governance to the people during the life of a party, of a parliament. I'm sure that would excite the 60%. Obviously, you have to couch that language as in the form of a negotiation so that the people would think that their decision to come back is their own and not yours, or not you forcing people or swearing at them and stuff to you've abandoned whatever else. No, in a free democracy, people can or cannot vote, and that's what they've done. So it depends on that. But I think it's a real opportunity to do two things: to get the people, because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You want to maintain democracy, and you want to strengthen the institutions of democracy by bringing the people back in with their vote to select people who will make these changes in via legislation to our governance system to have more accountability of government, right? And then we can start to work as a people and as a government together to bring progress and more enfranchisement. So it's therefore
this is excellent. I know that I would love to engage you and others within the society from the loyal opposition to lobby various political parties, and I hope Mr. Thorne is listening there in the green room, to lobby them that this is something that is included
it's absolute
in the manifesto.
It's absolutely doable if the Brits over generations, if the British over the generations have been able to answer that question, which they said, you know what, we love the monarchy, but we don't like our monarchs. How can we have both? And they've come up with Westminster. Westminster is for them. It's not for us. It's for them. But they answered that long question of having two things that they like at the same time. So I'm not the type of person that's going to sit and say, we can't do this and we can't do that. There's always a way. There's always a way. And these are things that we have not exploited, negotiating with people to come back. Stop talking to them, listen to them, and encourage them and ask them certain questions to find out how they're thinking. I said this the last time around with the Democrats, the DLP. I'm like, how many of you have gone back out to the constituencies and did your own polling to see if you're still a viable candidate? Have any of you ever asked these constituents what they expect from a candidate or their parliamentary representative? What are their expectations? Are you meeting those expectations? Do you even know what those expectations are? And these are the types of things, if you're truly interested in representing people and being a what's it called, servant leader, if you're truly interested in servant leadership, you need to find out what drives people so that you are working to get those things for the people, instead of this condescension of talking down to people, and the concept that we have that is so explicit with this
Yeah.
current government of master client, you know, the
Yes.
honorable this and that, and who are you to
And all
talk to
that.
me?
Well, listen,
It's
Adrian, we
nonsense.
could, yeah,
Anyway,
I mean,
yeah.
this is so amazing. We could go on for a long time, but it's 8:05. And I know that we had some little trouble in the beginning, so we gave you the extra 5 minutes.
Thank
But
you.
I just want to say thank you. And I know that when I call on you, you'll be there again. But this has been so enlightening once again, Adrian. And really, really thank you so very, very much for being with us tonight. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye. Well, guys, another great interview there, and discussion with Mr. Adrian Hinds. He is in the diaspora. You could hear his Bajan, but living in Boston, a dumpling from the diaspora. Once again, don't forget our the march tomorrow. March 22nd at 10 a.m. from Folkestone Beach to Holetown Civic Center. And this is a march for Barbados. Okay, it is a Love Barbados march, and it's a fight to preserve Barbados' heritage and coastal lands. We're going to start 10 o'clock on the dot. If it have anything to, if it's in our power, we're starting on time. So make sure you're on time. Okay. Make sure. So tomorrow, come on out, bring out the entire family. All right. Now we have with us, oh my goodness, we're in for a treat tonight, folks. Did you share? Did you like? You know what they love to do? They love to go and complain to these social media platforms that our content is violent, and it is, against community standards, and it's they're against what we're saying, blah, 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 blah. Listen, so I need you to like, I need you to like, I need you to share. I need you to like, I need you to share, because coming up right now on the Marcia Week show is the Honorable Ralph Thorne, right here in our midst. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Marcia. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. And just let me begin by saying I want this segment to be a continuation of Mr. Hinds', because I was listening for the last 20 minutes or so, and it's very illuminating. And I want to suggest to him that he should visit our parliament and speak to several of the parliamentarians who seem unaware as to the constitutional system in which they are operating. And I say that in all seriousness. I'm discovering that a lot of people in there seem not to understand the system. So thanks to him, and I hope that I can add something equally illuminating tonight. And as always, I always say, Marcia, thanks to you, thanks to this show. Last year when I did what I had to do, I absolutely had to do it. I was shocked when I got to the premises of Parliament and saw you and some other people there. I wasn't expecting that. I think that's the first time we met.
Yes, that's the first time. Yeah, yes. The first time we met.
I continue to say thanks to you for that welcome to Parliament. And this show has really brought a new consciousness to Barbadians as to their rights, as to the need to question the government, that the government should not ever see itself as all-powerful. And this is one of the, outside of the mainstream media, and I consider you mainstream media, by the way. But you're the only... I
don't know if that's a compliment, but go ahead.
It is a compliment. It is a compliment. You are mainstream media, and we're not seeing a lot of courage expressed in the mainstream media. You're the only one really expressing the courage to oppose a government, and a very powerful government. That power is not legitimate, but it is ever present in our lives. And you are the only part of the mainstream media that is displaying courage, apart, I would think, from Maria Bradshaw.
Yeah, Maria. Oh, she's awesome.
Deserves some special mention. And I will have something to say about Maria's intervention in the last
But before you go further, I want to use this opportunity to talk about the team. because you know I come on the show and it bears my name, but I have such a formidable
Yeah.
team, Mr. Thorne.
Yeah.
You know, the likes of Maxine McLean
Yeah.
and Caswell when he was able to come on. And you know, I mean, there's so many, Rose Corbin and Dr. Ferdinand Nichols and everybody. I can't call everybody's name right now, but thanks to all the guests and to the viewers, and they've made us strong and made us, you know, relevant and bold.
Yes. They have been a wonderful team in support of the star.
No, you know, we don't want to do that.
I will say.
We don't want to do that. I forgot Kimar. But I want to mention everybody, you know, and everybody's contributed in some way.
You forgot Glenn Murray.
And Glenn Murray. Oh, no, no. Glenn Murray.
That's not forgivable.
Not forgivable. Lordy, Glenn Murray, I am sorry. My head, you know, I'm trying to make my head come down. That's why.
In the moment that happens.
Yes,
you're not reading a script.
It happens. It really happens. Glenn Murray, I mean, he's been so every step of the way, and every time, a minute of the day, he's messaging me. Did you see this? You know, you need to correct this. I learned so much from them. You know, it's an honor being among them and learning, etc. But Mr. Thorne, before you go, you know, because we're all ready, because when you start to speak, we know some golden nuggets gonna drop. But listen, Mr. Thorne, do you know? Look at this picture on the screen.
Yeah.
You remember this picture?
That's we're coming across the bridge.
Yes.
And which particular march was that?
That's
the first one.
The first one. And do you know what date that was last year?
Oh dear. Was it soon after I did the business?
Yes. When you crossed the floor.
Yeah.
It was actually 1 year ago, sir.
Really? Today?
It was March 22nd. March 23rd.
Oh.
23rd. Because it would have, tomorrow is one year. Do you see how things line up? Isn't that amazing?
Yes, it is amazing. It is amazing. It means that we are consistent, and a part of integrity is consistency. So that we're being consistent. We're still fighting the good fight.
Yes, but the way how the dates line up, and I think Dave, you have a little piece of that speech that he gave that we can play before he jumps in. Let's see if we can get a piece of that speech, and people are welcoming you to the show. Somebody says here, Mr. Thorne, you give me a reason to listen to the debates again.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, good night, Brother Ralph. You know, people are welcoming you, but let's go ahead, Dave.
People, and if we are people with self-esteem, and if we are people with pride, if we are people who recognize that our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents sacrificed to build this country, what do we have to be ashamed of? And we do not come with any spirit of fear. And we will do this and continue to do this because I want to thank you for the support you've given me. I really want to thank you, Barbados, Marcia, Lamamba, Bongo Lights, Kimar, Caswell. I really want to thank you for reminding this country that there are some voices out there who are still interested in pursuing justice and democracy against tyrannical rule, because it is clear to you at this point that one person is running Barbados. One person is running Barbados. One person is making all of the decisions. But we come in defiance of that one person. And we come to this place this Saturday afternoon because we are not afraid. And courage, and integrity, and honesty, and decency will be a part of.
Yes, yes, Mr. Thorne. What's going through your mind as you're watching that? That's a year ago. And I'm always amazed with just the way things line up with you. And that's one of the reasons I know that you might, I don't know, I'm sure you know that God, I believe God led you to make the move you made. But when these things begin to line up, I'm like, wow. But what's going through your mind as you're watching that?
I'll tell you something very silly. I almost wore the same pants tonight. But different shirt. This may be a little immodest. The power in my voice. Then the conviction. I try to watch myself objectively just now. The power of my conviction, the confidence with which I spoke. I spoke like somebody there having been liberated from a set of circumstances which were oppressive. And as I said when I went to the president's house, I said in the interview afterwards that it was not a simple departure, but that it was an extrication from oppressive circumstances. And watching that just now, I did not have a script, but it is the conviction with which I spoke, Marcia. And I think that was one of the moments that it was a catharsis. It was a moment in which I felt, look, this is where I need to be. I need to be out of those circumstances. Whatever is the sacrifice, I needed to be out of those circumstances. One of our candidates told me this week that she used to listen to me on the government benches, and I used to sound very conflicted. And at first I was a little concerned. I said, you were seeing that? And she said, yes, you were sounding a little conflicted when you spoke there. But certainly I wasn't sounding conflicted there. I sounded like a liberated individual. And I don't say that to sound good. I try to look at myself objectively there. And that's what I saw. I saw the power of conviction. I saw something that was within me that probably wanted to come out.
Yes,
and
yes.
Thank God it came out, and thank God I came out. And
yes.
You know, Marcia, look, somebody was reminding me last night that when on what day was it? What day did I do the reply? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yes, and just before I went on, I received a call from a party member, and she handed the phone to somebody, and that person prayed with me. And I've been getting so much of that. A lady met me this week, and she said, you know, Ralph, every night at midnight I pray for you. And I said, why midnight? I've met so many people. People send me WhatsApp messages, and they send me Bible verses every morning, and that really strengthens me. If nothing else, this experience has strengthened my faith in God.
Wow.
You know, I don't pretend to people that I came to this as any devout Christian. I did not come to this as a devout Christian. I came though with a past, a history of parents. I was telling somebody today, we used to get lashes to go to church. If we were late, we would get lashes. And we were mischievous in church. But you know, Marcia,
yes,
that is a part of my experience, which has shaped me as a human being. The experience of having gone to church every Sunday throughout my childhood into my late teens, around 20. And that has stayed with me. And this experience, this walk out of the government and into the opposition has been transfigured or transformed into a spiritual walk, because people have been telling me, look, it is God who led you. And I hear that so often that I cannot now disbelieve it.
Mm-hmm.
And people send me Bible verses every morning. They call, as I said, a few minutes before I went on last Tuesday, the lady prayed with me. And I want to say to you that I had no idea that I would have spoken for 10 and a half hours. I had no idea I would have done that. So, you know, perhaps God puts you into situations, or God puts things into you. He makes you a vessel. And that has been the experience. It has not only been political. I am convinced, Marcia, it has also been spiritual. Whatever happens, whatever is God's will, what I've gone through over the last year, what I'm going through now, I feel it is spiritual engagement. I feel that that is what carries me. Because let me tell you, the adversity that I have faced, I don't know why I laugh, but the adversity that I have endured, I have not endured anything like this. But you know, I've made some good friends. I have tried to ignore the antipathy. I've tried to ignore the adversity. And I have tried to focus on people who have shown me love. This encounter has been an experience in meeting people who express love towards me. And I cannot think of anything else that is as powerful as love. I was reading that for many years. I was hearing it. But you fight the adversity with love. Yeah?
Yes.
And forgiveness. I'm learning forgiveness.
Yes.
I see things about me written on social media, and trust me, you know, Marcia, if I could sit with some of those people, I would. I actually would, because, as I say, at a certain age, you just pour your soul out to people, and you find your own humility, and you find the power in humility, and you can go to your grave holding these grudges. You really can.
Yes, forgiveness. I love that.
Experience.
Yes, it is, and I can see that. I can see that. Now, tomorrow is another march, and you know, a year
I'm
later,
really looking forward to that.
and
Really
you're going to be there tomorrow, sir.
It begins at 10. Look for me at 9.
You're going to be at the march. So what is it about this march that you say to yourself, I have to be at this march? Why is it important for Mr. Thorne to be at this march tomorrow?
There's something happening in Barbados. We know what the government is doing. A lot of what the government is doing, it's not only wrong on the face of it, but it is government's approach to what they're doing. They're doing things by stealth. And Holetown, for example, by the time Holetown reaches public notice, so much has happened. And I think the public resents that things are coming to public notice when they're done, when the deals have been done. We will discover this with Jemmott Lane as well, that by the time the work starts, or by the time it gets to Parliament, let me say that, government has done everything in secret. And you know, the example of that, the example of that is the small project there at Bullins Agricultural Station. And I've been telling this story quite a lot. They came to Parliament to convert Bullins Agricultural Station into housing. Vesting the land for the purpose of housing. So there I am, I get up and I say, I make my speech and I say it is right next to Highway 1. It's on the tourist belt.
Yes.
So I'm conjecturing, oh, they're changing this agricultural station into tourism. And I say in my speech, and I'm sure that the government will build extensive villas down there because it is near to the tourist belt. And somebody, I wouldn't say who, but one of the ministers started to laugh and say, oh, he didn't even know the house is done. So the houses were built. So that by the time they were vesting the land, by the time Parliament was vesting the land, to convert from agriculture to housing, they had already built the houses. Now, legally and administratively, that is wrong. Because it meant that they went and built houses on lands that ought not to have been used for that purpose, because Parliament had not yet vested the land for the purpose of building. They did it the wrong way around. Suppose something had happened, suppose for some reason or another Parliament could not meet because of some emergency for a couple weeks, couple months. It means that administratively, I beg your pardon, and legally, they would have had a conundrum. And I went to Walter Blackman's funeral. So after they told me, oh, he don't even know the house is built already. So I left Walter's funeral and said, Peter, and I'm driving up the coast and I say, well, I'm going to see these houses. And I drive into Bullings Agricultural Station, and there the houses done already. You know, and Parliament, in other words, not Parliament, government built the houses when they probably had no, not probably, when they had no legal authority to do it.
Wow.
Because the lands were not vested in the person in whom they wanted to vest the land, so that they went and built houses, or somebody went and built a house when he had no legal authority, and when the lands were not vested for the building of those houses. And Marcia, that is an example of how government has been functioning. And we discover that Holetown is the same thing.
Correct.
That, yes, I remember the day the Holetown matter came to Parliament. And the morning, it was some other piece of legislation. And I spent the whole morning attacking the government on what they had done in the morning. And then they brought the Holetown matter in the afternoon. And I was very mild. And I said, look, I'm going to deal with this Holetown thing by just asking government some questions. I asked them, for example, in whose name are you vesting these lands at Holetown? I asked them about the price. I asked them about the question of flooding. And I remember the Minister of Foreign Affairs got up and said, oh, we've seen two versions of the same man in one day. He was basically saying, oh, this morning he was angry, but this afternoon he's very mild. And they didn't know what I was doing. I was being mild because I wanted them to be forthcoming with them. Yes, to be forthcoming with information. One of them got up and said, oh, the lands are being invested in BTI, that's Barbados Tourism Investment Inc. And he said, and we are getting a loan from ICB of $40 million to build some tourism facility. Another one got up, not going to call name, another one got up and said one said it was 46, one said 40. So I left here on government information. Thanks very much, Adrian. That's very sweet of you. One got up and said 46 million. The other one said 40 million. And that ICB was lending the money to BTI. That's how I understood it. In the aftermath, I've read so much in the media to suggest that government was not candid, that government was not being truthful.
Right.
That, in fact, this seems to be a transaction. The details of it were not given in Parliament. So that what they told me was not all that there was to this transaction. Again, Marcia, that illustrates how government is functioning. That government is functioning in secret, and by the time the thing comes to public attention, it's all done. We can do nothing about it. So that what we are going to do tomorrow is symbolic, because government has done what it has done already. It's done legally, and well, I should say legislatively, it's done. So we are protesting really against the manner in which government is functioning. And government is functioning abusively of its power. Normally, when you have these developments, a government that is functioning in the interest of people, and a government that is functioning with transparency and openness, those words have become cliches. They mean nothing now. Transparency is a cliche. Openness is a cliche. And you know, a cliche is just a string of words together that lack meaning. So a lot of these words now in Barbados mean nothing because the government has no respect for transparency and openness, and they're doing things and we don't know. So we are protesting after the fact. So that our protest now is a protest, as I said before and I'll say it again, our protest is a protest against government's repeated abuse of power. By the time we realize what's happening, by the time the works begin, it's all done. They have an obligation. A government that is transparent and open has an obligation to come to people. Look, when the Hyatt was first planned, there were, and it went to court, one of the lawyers argued that you must have a town hall meeting, that the public must have an input. You don't have to have money to have an input, but you have an interest as a citizen.
Yes.
And it is in the citizen's interest that his country develops in a manner that is compatible with his pace, and you know, and that you preserve heritage, that that it is something that we would like and that we want, because the citizen does have an interest. The citizen,
Yes.
you do not have to have money. You do not have to be a millionaire to have rights, to have moral rights. And government is morally obliged to hold a town hall meeting so that the citizens say what is their view as to a country's development. We have a vested interest in the nature, the manner of a country's development. We as citizens have that right. And I think that is something the courts may well have declared. But government is not doing that. And the point is, government is doing these things, hiding these projects and these plans from people. And by the time it gets to Parliament, all done. All
It's
done.
done.
I oppose it. I opposed it last Thursday night, I think it was. I had mentioned it in my reply. It means nothing.
It means nothing.
You know,
Absolutely.
but you know, Margaret,
ahead,
it means
Mr.
something. It means something to people in Barbados.
Yes.
This oppressive manner, and the theme of my reply: show me a democracy, and I'll show you a tyranny in the making. And I chose that because that is what is happening in Barbados. Barbados is under tyrannical rule. One person, and I say this without apology to her colleagues and my parliamentary colleagues, because they're my parliamentary colleagues. They're not my party colleagues, but they're my parliamentary colleagues. One person is dominant in that parliament. Marcia, I can assure you that just about every decision that is taken in this government is taken by name only. I say that confidently. I see a group of ministers in there who are emasculated, really, who have no power. They're powerless. I know for a fact, and I'm not going to tell out their secret, but I know for a fact that several decisions are taken governmentally, and the decision has been that of the Prime Minister. The proof of that, you want the proof of that?
Yeah.
Look, subconsciously, and not only subconsciously, listen to their patterns of speech. Whenever they're making a disclosure to the media, you know what they say? Oh, and the Prime Minister. And I'd like to thank the Prime Minister. And of course, you know, the Prime Minister gave approval to this. They never express themselves with ministerial authority. They speak only as the prime ministerial authority, and that is their language. And it has become so much a part of them because that is what is obtaining. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think they are actually aware as to how their language reveals the relationship between them and the Prime Minister. They have no power, and they're not allowed to exercise any power. I can tell you, I don't go to cabinet, obviously, but I get stories out of cabinet as to the behavior in there. I get those stories, and I'm sure they tell their families. They don't tell me, but perhaps somebody goes home in frustration, tells somebody, and somebody tells somebody.
Tell somebody, yeah. It
But
comes out.
you don't need those leakages from cabinet to know what is going on in there. When they speak to the media, they always refer, oh, the Prime Minister. And sometimes the simplest thing, you put enough offense, oh, and I'm glad, I want to report that the Prime Minister gave approval to this. Marcia, some of the most mundane activities.
Wow.
And every minister, from the senior ministers back down to the most junior, they always exercise or disclose this deference to the Prime Minister. A good Prime Minister allows her cabinet to function. A good leader, first of all, the first order of business and leadership, get a team that is competent. And when you get a team that is competent, invest your confidence in that team. It is a show of insecurity when you want for yourself all the power. And this is what democracy is about. Democracy is about broadening down responsibilities and powers and having a team. And I can't think of any Prime Minister before who has functioned in this manner. I really cannot, and I don't want to appear to be obsessively
but you know, I must say that Glenn Murray, who is 81 years old and would have been through several I've seen several prime ministers. I mean, he has said that he has never seen anything like this, any type of
Mhm.
governance like this. But when you take what you're just saying, speaking of, and you look at Jemmott's Lane,
Yeah.
the fact that here again you had a situation where Jemmott's Lane, they were actually planning the what you call the groundbreaking ceremony
Yes.
before the whole thing was passed, before it went through the
Yes.
Senate. The ground
Well,
when I went there, they were clearing the place and getting it
Yes.
ready. Yeah.
Yes. You know, Marcia, somebody sent me a letter yesterday. I hope it is genuine. And that letter comes from, I have to be very careful how I say this, but what I'm saying is factual, so I am not going to defame anybody. Somebody sent me a letter, and that letter claims to be from the bank. And this is in relation to the groundbreaking.
Yes.
That there's supposed to be a groundbreaking on Monday.
Yes, Monday.
Right. And that letter is saying that Jemmott's Lane will be closed from 2 till 5. Now, the letter purports to be signed by the bank.
Yes.
Now, the bank does not have that authority. When you close a road, you are exercising power according to the law. And that law is called subsidiary legislation. The point I'm making to you, Marcia, the only person who can close a road in Barbados is the Commissioner of Police. Yes? Parliament passes laws.
Yes.
But they're laws called subsidiary laws. So if you're closing a public road, you need to have the legal authority to do that. Now, you're not going to convene Parliament to close off Jemmott's Lane. So what you do, you give that authority to a functionary within the system, one person. And the person to whom you give that legal authority to pass that law, because when you, as I'm explaining to you, when you close Jemmott's Lane, you can only close it by passing a law. You can the only person who can do that is a person with legal authority. The person in Barbados with the legal authority to close roads is the Commissioner of Police. This letter that I have seen, if it is authentic, it does not come from the Commissioner of Police. So you will find, for example, there's a road race around the harbor. And you will see a notice in, if the road race is on the Sunday, for example, maybe on the Saturday in the newspaper, you would see the road around the harbor will be closed from 2 till 5. And under it, Commissioner of Police.
That's true. That is so. Let me see. Dave, is there Dave? If you check your WhatsApp, you'll see the letter. Let's put the letter that is alleged to have been coming from the bank.
Yes.
So we just it says the bank, but we are saying here we're not sure. But it's alleged.
Whoever it is from, Marcia, whoever it is from, if it is not from the Commissioner of Police, it has no legal validity. It is only the Commissioner of Police who can close the road, because the Commissioner of Police is responsible for traffic and directions of traffic and so on. So again, these abuses of power, this habit of people exceeding their powers, and a lot of that is that. Yeah, I think that's the letter. Now, if that letter is authentic, it is not in keeping with the law. There is no private entity in Barbados, and this bank is a private entity. There's no private entity in Barbados. Look, not even the Prime Minister can close the road. Not even a minister can close the road. It is the police. And it becomes legally effectual when it is published. Because one of the aspects of passing a law relating to roads is not only do you declare that the road should be closed, but you must publish.
Yes.
And publication is a requirement for this thing to become valid. Yes? So the commissioner can sit and say, well, the cycling union, for example, would say, oh, we want to use this road on Sunday, and the police, Commissioner of Police may write a letter. I don't know how they do it, but he could write a letter to the cycling union and say, yes, you have permission. But it does not become law until he publishes it in the newspaper. Why? Because the public must know. Yes? So this letter, if this letter is authentic, and if this letter is written to private people, that has no validity.
But Mr. Thorne, they
It
keep
has no
breaking the
validity.
laws. They keep breaking the laws. It's like
Yeah,
from
you
one
know,
thing to the next. I remember when you had to come on here and let the people know that the tint, that when they made the decree about the tint, that it was not lawful, it was not
yeah.
legal, it was not supported by law. And here it is again. If Dave could go up, Dave, just go to, I think it's paragraph 3. So that those who have not seen this letter, right, this paragraph, right? During
Which
this
was
time,
during this time,
yes.
vehicular traffic will be restricted, pedestrian access will be maintained, but may be subject to temporary detours as necessary. Uh, Look, the most important words there are the words right at the bottom after sincerely. Could Dave show us the
Dave, can you go up? Yeah.
sincerely? Right. Now that person does not have that authority. They don't have legislative authority in Barbados. That is the Commissioner of Police. And so that Barbadians understand what I'm saying, one of the other legal authorities in Barbados is the Chief Town Planner, for example. If you're building your house and the Chief Town Planner tells you you cannot build within 8 feet of the boundary, that's a law. He has stipulated law, and he tells you that no, he doesn't have to publish that in the newspaper because that is between two neighbors. So the neighbors will know what the Chief Town Planner has said. And what the Chief Town Planner has said becomes the law. It is not parliamentary or national law. It is subsidiary law. It is subordinate to national law, but it is law all the same. And the Commissioner of Police has that power. If this letter is authentic, whoever that gentleman is, he is functioning beyond his legal authority. He has no authority to close any road in Barbados. And beyond that, he has no authority to be instructing people not to use the road. He doesn't have that authority. You see, so that is an example of as to what is happening in Barbados. And that is why I spoke. That is why my theme was show me a democracy and I will show you a tyranny in the making. It's a free-for-all now, apparently. And people who have, so this represents, if this letter is authentic, and I have to give the proviso, if this letter is authentic, this reflects the breakdown, and I know this sounds like a cliche, but this reflects the breakdown of law in Barbados. Because anybody is doing anything. And this gentleman, or whoever it is, does not have the authority to do this. He cannot close the road. But this is what is happening in Barbados. That power, what he may have, and what we are sure they have power. And power and law are two different things. Yes? And it seems to me that power now dominates over law in Barbados. If this is true, this is an exercise of power. But it is illegitimate power. The Commissioner of Police ought to be involved in this.
Yes.
Using his powers, his lawful powers, to regulate the flow of traffic, to close roads. You don't have that power, Marcia. I don't have it. We're private individuals. And unless this person can prove that this is done on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, this is not lawful. This is not lawful.
And you know,
so even at that level, you're getting these what appear to be people stepping beyond their bounds. But when you have power, you use it. And that's where we seem to be in this country. That power dominates over law. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. That is, I mean, and when you think that this is an issue that when you of all of this overdevelopment and all the different areas, we think of Bay Street and BDF headquarters, and the list goes on. I think this Jemmott's Lane, this particular one is pulling at the heartstrings of Barbadians, and because in their mind, how could you give it away? You know, I think do you get that feedback from people, Mr. Thorne?
Oh yes. Because there is a lot of hardship in Barbados, and there are a lot of our young people who cannot buy a piece of land. And I know the government is using the cultural argument, and I said during the debate last Thursday, the cultural argument is compelling. You know, to have a linkage with Africa, It's commendable. That is something you want, because
Yes.
our linkages have been based on the colonial experience. And the colonial experience is about being dominated by someone. And reconnecting with the homeland is noble and commendable. And
Mm-hmm.
it is good to do that. Except that in this case, they have gone beyond their bounds. This, as I said in Parliament, it is commendable to have this cultural connection based on a history that has not been kind to us, a history that has separated Africans in the diaspora from Africa. Yes, so it is good to make that reconnection in this way. So this is not a bad idea. It is not a bad idea to reconnect commercially. Yes, that is noble. But as I said in Parliament, there is a compelling cultural argument for that reconnection. But the commercial argument against this idea is stronger than the cultural argument in favor of the idea.
Yes.
Does that sound a little complicated?
Yes. Yeah, no,
I
not
will
really.
repeat
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, repeat.
There is a strong cultural argument for this relationship. Very
Yes.
strong cultural argument. We are reconnecting with the motherland or the fatherland. Well, let's say motherland, because the oldest human being ever found was a woman.
Yes.
So reconnecting, I know you like that.
Yeah.
The cultural argument is strong.
Yes.
The cultural argument in favor of this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But the commercial argument against it is
Right.
stronger than the cultural argument in favor of it. And why do I say that? One of the ways in which the government sold this idea last Thursday night, and let me start by saying the government snuck this into Parliament deliberately on Thursday night so that Barbadians would not notice. And Barbadians were not going to notice if the opposition person is not there to resist it. And it came after the budget. A budget debate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4 days of speeches, some listened to, some not listened to. And at the end of that, you bring this legislation to vest, you bring a resolution, I beg your pardon, to vest these lands in this bank. I thought that was done deliberately. I thought it was a late night. I thought it was done to avoid public glare.
Yes. Yes.
In fact, I had missed their speeches, and that's another story which I will tell you. So I went to Parliament, sat in my car, and listened to them because I knew it was coming. And as soon as they started on this resolution to vest this land, I walked in. And the person who was introducing the resolution became very agitated. And he did something very strange. Actually, I started to laugh hysterically. Personal attacks, I found that very amusing. The way he was saying things about me, it was very funny to me. But it upset him that he was saying nasty things and I was laughing. Anyhow, that's not the point. So he kept saying, and the leader of the opposition will object to this. How did he know that? Is that conscious? I have never heard a person bring a resolution to Parliament and anticipate opposition. So the fact that he was anticipating opposition, did he think he was doing something wrong? It's the first time I've ever seen anything like that. Yes. But I think they were disappointed that I came because they had not seen me the Wednesday. They had not seen me the whole of Thursday. And then Thursday night, they sneak in this thing, and this little fella walked in. And they start complaining that I am going.
When you're walking on behalf of the people of Barbados. We love when you walk in.
And I try to be very calm. And I said to them what I said to you. I was very calm about it. I basically made the same speech. The cultural argument is compelling. Linkages between Africa and the Caribbean, all well and good. But there is a commercial argument against it, which is stronger than the cultural argument for it. And let me tell you about the commercial argument. We've had the cultural argument, which favors it. Here's the commercial argument. They try to justify it by saying, oh, this has been done with CDB. CDB was given land free. up there in Wildy and somewhere else. And that is true. CDB was given land free by this Barbados government. CDB is a different organization.
Yes.
CDB is a Caribbean Development Bank.
Mhm.
The words tell you what it is. It is a development bank. Barbados is a founder member of the bank. And there's a sense in which the bank is not lending money to people. I don't think profit is the overwhelming motive.
Correct.
The overwhelming motive is, as the word says, development.
Development.
It
Yes.
is about developing these island nations of the members, Barbados, Jamaica, all of us belong to this development bank. This bank is not a development bank in that way.
Mhm.
This bank, and in fact, let me go back to the CDB. The CDB lends only to countries. And as I said, the overriding motive is not profit. The overriding motive of the Caribbean Development Bank is development.
Mhm.
Of course, if they are to maintain themselves as a going concern, they must make a profit. They lend you money, you build something, and you pay interest, and they make money. They're there to make money. But that is not the overriding objective. Overriding objective is not to make profit on top of profit on top of profit on
Right.
top of profit. It is about development. In other words, it is an arrangement between all of these countries
Caribbean. Mhm.
for mutual development of these countries by having a development bank. This bank from Africa is not a development bank. This bank lends money to private persons. The Caribbean Development Bank does not lend to private persons. Let me repeat, because the public needs to know this.
Mhm.
The Caribbean Development Bank lends only to countries for development.
Mhm.
This African bank lends to private individuals, and private individuals would mean companies, private companies. I don't like calling people's names, but it was publicized, so I can say.
Mhm.
Did it not lend $90 million US for the Hyatt? That was publicized. So I'm not bringing anything. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not spreading people's business across the area. And they lent $25 million to Comey, Kensington Oval Management Inc.
Yes.
Now that is something that I want to come before the Public Accounts Committee, because I heard some noises out of Parliament, out of Senate this week, criticizing the PAC for not having met. Then the government closed down the PAC. When we tried to investigate Hope, the government ministers came in there and said to defer it. They don't want to discuss Hope. They don't want to investigate Hope. And they voted against me and my two senators at the time. But we'll come to that later. This bank lends to private individuals, Marcia, not for the overriding objective of development of a country. They lend for profit to private persons.
Yes.
Yes, and that is one of the fundamental differences. Now they will come and tell you, well, the CARICOM countries have signed on. I think there are about 11. Bahamas, Barbados, can't remember all that. Now, they've signed on to this treaty. Let me say to you, Marcia, a treaty is a contract between countries. It can be 2 countries, it can be 13 countries. When you have a treaty between countries, it's just a contract. It is just a contract, but we call it a treaty. When it occurs between countries, it is called a treaty. That treaty does not become binding on the country until the country takes that treaty and takes it to its parliament and passes it as a law.
Okay.
Okay? So Barbados and Jamaica, for example, may sign a treaty for some, or let's say Barbados and Trinidad sign a treaty about fishing. That is a contract between Barbados and Trinidad over fishing, allowing Barbadian fishermen to come to Trinidad and fish in Trinidad waters. But one would say it's just an agreement between countries. It is not a part of the country's law. It is just 2 countries that sat and made this contract.
Right.
In order for it to become the law of that country, what do? You have to take it to parliament. So when it is a treaty between 2 countries, it is a part of international law.
Mhm.
You following me, Mark?
Okay. Yes, I'm learning. Yes, 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 yes.
Good. So international law, some people say that there's nothing called international law. In order for it to be enforceable, yes, you
Yes.
have to take it to your parliament and bring it from the sphere of international law and bring it into the sphere of national law.
Yes.
When it becomes national law, then it binds you. Okay? So this treaty that has been signed between the bank and these 11 countries becomes law only when you bring it to the parliament. My understanding is that I think St. Lucia, is it St. Lucia, St. Kitts, and Barbados are the only 3 countries that have made this treaty between the CARICOM countries and the African Bank part of their national law.
Ah.
Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts. I think those are the 3.
Right.
Interesting
Right.
enough, Barbados made this law, this treaty between Barbados and the bank. They made it law last year, January. Now, you know what was happening in January last year with my life. I
Yes.
obviously was about to do a certain thing. So I was in there. I was in the parliament trying to behave myself. I tried to keep quiet, knowing that in a few hours I would be located in a different place. So I said nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I said nothing. So that this law became law in Barbados since last year. A lot of Barbadians don't know that. In January last year, I believe it is January last year, we passed this law, which recognizes as a part of the law of Barbados this treaty that exists between the African Bank and Barbados. I repeat, as a treaty by itself, it has no legal force, it has no legal effect, it cannot be enforced in Barbados until it goes to Parliament and becomes part of the Barbados law. That was done last year. Between last year and now, how many Bajans did the government publicize it again?
Right.
Transparency, no transparency, no openness. And lo and behold, last Thursday night, you bring a piece of legislation, not a piece of legislation, you bring a resolution to the parliament, yes, vesting this land in affecting bank, I think that's the pronunciation, for free. For free. And it is not the CDB, which is the development bank, it is a private entity. It is a private entity that has gone across Africa and is now into the Caribbean, not for the purposes, not for the overriding purpose of profit, of development,
Development, yeah.
They're for profit. It is like any other bank that is operating for profit, except that it has the sanctity of this treaty between the bank and these CARICOM countries. But only 3 have passed it into their law. And only Barbados has seen it fit, to give them how many acres of land? Free. It is a private enterprise entity that has been given acres of land.
Wow, yeah.
They are not, I repeat, they are not into the business of national development. They are into the business of private profit for themselves. Yes? But as I said, they have the sanctity of this treaty. Now, are Barbadians aware that this private for-profit entity has been given all the privileges and immunities that CDB would have, including not paying taxes?
Wow. Dave, if Dave could bring up that section, page, I think it's 10, Dave, but go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Thorne.
Yes. So that you give those privileges to CDB because of the nobility of CDB's mandate. Development, national development. So CDB, you may know, people who work at CDB, nice cushy jobs, they're well paid, they don't pay tax. And they have diplomatic immunity and diplomatic status. This company, which is of an entirely different concept, and I say entirely different because it is not a development bank in the way that CDB is a development bank. But they have been given diplomatic immunity, well, privileges. And I'm told that that privilege and immunity extends to tax liability. They're not going to be paying corporation tax. So that they have been given the same privileges or quite similar privileges to CDB, but they are not a CDB. And I defy the government to argue that they are akin to the CDB. They're not akin to the CDB. Yes, there it is. What is significant now that I'm seeing that on the screen? Ask this government why Trinidad and Jamaica rejected the arrangement. Trinidad and Jamaica have rejected the arrangement. My information last year when the bank came here and opened its office, my information is that Jamaica and Trinidad, and I think Trinidad in particular, rejected this proposal that you should come to Trinidad and you're not a development bank, as CDB is, and you want these privileges, you want these immunities, you want what is akin to diplomatic status. So Trinidad and Jamaica have rejected it entirely. Trinidad and Jamaica have not even signed on.
Yes, that's correct.
They rejected it. So look, when you're talking CARICOM and CARICOM solidarity, there is no CARICOM solidarity on this. Two of the founder members of CARICOM, two of the founder members of CARIFTA, which was CARICOM before it became CARICOM, CARIFTA, two of those founder members are not party to this. In other words, they have nothing to do with it. That is instructive. Trinidad and Jamaica have the two most developed financial markets in the Caribbean. And Barbadians need to find that, to regard that with some significance. Trinidad and Jamaica have the two most developed financial markets in the Caribbean, and they have rejected it. So how is this being sold to Barbadians? You're hearing the usual nonsense. And Marcy, I don't want to get angry at your show. Oh, thousands of jobs. Utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. The people claim that they are building their headquarters and their hotels. How many rooms? David, 100 and how many? I'm here with Alvin Toppin, or St. Lucie man, who was at the town hall and did very well the other night. 140 rooms. 140 room hotel. How many rooms does the Hilton have? And how many people are employed at the Hilton? You know, this government is walking around Barbados with these exaggerated claims. We were discussing the Better Business legislation a few months ago. And one of the members stood up and said, oh, when we pass this legislation, there's trillions of dollars out there about to be unleashed, and we are going to get some of those trillions of dollars. Yesterday, we are getting 1 million sheep. Last year, we're getting 1 million trees.
Yes.
You know, and this, I sometimes wonder if the government thinks it's talking to children.
Yeah, they're building 10,000 homes, remember?
10,000 homes. 1 million trees they're planting.
Yes.
As I said yesterday, we're getting 1 million black belly sheep.
Oh.
I mean, look, as the old people say, you're not allowed to laugh.
Yeah,
Because if you don't laugh, you're going mad. And this government is giving us an equal choice between laughter and insanity.
Yeah.
My advice to all of us, choose laughter.
Yes.
But be no less serious. Be no less serious about the need of this country. And I'm being very political on your show, I'm sorry. But the need that this country now must engage in getting rid of this government. I'm allowed to say that. I'm a politician. I'm the head of a political party. And please give me the right to say that this government is not serious about the future of this country. That when you're going to come to a country with these exaggerated claims and these exaggerated promises, and it is all very childish. It's reaching the point of being childish. And as I say, choose between laughter and insanity. If you don't laugh, you're going mad. And if madness is anger, let us not riot tomorrow, but let us show this government that we are not pleased, that we are actually angry. We're angry. We're angry with the way in which government is going its business. Government has lost all respect for Barbadians. I talked about the 1 million trees and the 1 million black belly sheep and the hundreds, the thousands of jobs that this 140-room hotel is going to create, and you're smiling very sweetly because you're not taking
Yeah,
it serious.
it's funny.
But they mean for Barbadians to take it serious.
Yes.
Yeah, they mean for Barbadians to take it seriously. In other words, they're lying to Barbadians. They're taking us for fools. They're insulting our intelligence. And that is what this government has been about. I say it in Parliament all the time. This government's main industry is sweet talk. I have never seen a government that talks so sweetly about everything. We've prepared a list at the opposition office and at party headquarters about 30 projects that this government has started. And not one of them have they finished. The Republican Constitution, local government, reforms to the 11 plus, the ID card, the list is long. This government has brought several projects to Barbadians, and we've counted 30, I think, David. We've counted about 30, and they haven't completed any of them. How can you take them seriously? Do we have somebody walking through Barbados counting free? You know, is somebody going to count the black belly sheep?
Correct.
You know, and Marcia, you laugh. But we have to learn to laugh. But after the laughter dies down, Barbadians have to make a decision soon, and very soon, as to whether they believe that this government has shown Barbadians enough respect to continue to be a government. You expect me to say that, but I'm saying it on a basis of proof and facts.
On facts, correct.
Yes, and this affects them by business. It's not good business. It is not good business. And you know, one of the beautiful ideas I heard, I hadn't thought of it at first. You have the Queen Elizabeth Hospital right next door. Struggling badly. And that land, right next to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, an extension of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. But we've given it away. We didn't sell it, you know. And that's why Barbadians are angry. Barbadians are going to the supermarket and coming out broke after they leave the supermarket. They're coming out feeling distressed. You know, they really are spending too much money in the supermarket. They're paying light bills and feeling that the light bills are too high. Yeah. They're paying for the gas at the pump, not recognizing that when the tax used to be paid a one-off payment at MTW, it was far less than it is now. That fuel tax is one of the biggest cons ever committed on Barbados. You know, somebody explained that to me this week. I don't know everything. And an economist explained that to me this week. That we are paying for our noses under the guise of a fuel tax.
You know, I thank you. One of the opposition senators, Mr. Ryan. Ryan really broke that down. And by the way, they are doing a great job, both of them.
Thank you. Yes. And I love the dynamic between them. They're very supportive of the other. I'm very proud of them, actually. And I want to say, Marcia, allow me to this plug, this bit of PR. We have assembled a wonderful group of candidates, and I'm very proud of them. Young people. You hear the propaganda. I mean, somebody wrote this week, oh, they got the new people. Again, choose between laughter and insanity.
Correct.
We have a team of good young candidates. People who are well experienced in life. Some are young, some are a little older. Alvin is here with me. How old you are now, Alvin? 52. Experienced man. You know, so we're mixing. Yes. And at 52, a man is a man is a man. He's ready for life, whatever his.
But you know, Mr. Thorne, when you think of Senator Ryan Walters and Senator Adrian Worrell, especially Senator Ryan Walters, right? When you think of him, where he was last year, this time, and how he presented, versus what you saw in Parliament. As the leader of opposition, I mean, you chose him. He said to me, Marcio, I sometimes, I was wondering how come he chose me,
So he
and
told
he
me
said
that
that
too.
on my show, and sometimes he said, I feel like, am I going to let down Mr. Thorne? Now, when you listen to him in Parliament this week, what went through your head to see Ryan Walters speaking like that,
One word,
sounding like you?
one word, one word. Pride, pride. Yeah, I feel really proud of those two young men. Really, really proud. And the conviction and the passion and the belief that what they're doing is the right thing. That they need to oppose this government. And Marcia, I saw one of the videos today. It was disgusting. The behavior somebody is getting up and insulting Andre, and
Yes.
and then the nature of the laughter that erupted. It did not sound like a dignified parliament. And this government seems to be unaware that their behavior is gaining them even greater discredit among the population.
Mm-hmm.
The harassment and the heckling and the derisive laughter, you know. Look, that's why when I finished my speech, I knew what was coming. And I've told people, and I'm not apologetic about this, I am not sitting down and facing a barrage of personal insults. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. That is beneath the dignity of a parliament. And I heard it repeated in the Senate this week that
Yes.
he's making some silly joke, some very silly joke, which is a deep personal insult. There was no sophistication about it. And then the
Correct.
yelping that occurred after. I mean, it was
But,
terrible.
but
It
you know
really
what
was
was
terrible.
great about Senator Andre Worrell, and from the time I met him, from the time I met Senator Worrell at the last year, when you guys had the big meeting
Conference.
there, the annual, yes, general conference,
Yes,
it's the humility of this young man,
yes,
and
yes,
the way he spoke to me, the way he shook my hand,
yes.
not just him, but also the general secretary, Pedro.
Pedro, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I mean, the spirit of these people. And so he took that in such grace, and
yes,
he didn't let
yes,
it phase him at all.
yes.
And that's the strength of a leader. Andre, we are so proud of you.
I
Um
am.
and he even, he makes jokes, he's making jokes of it on his on
Facebook.
his Facebook page, and all of that. When I was on Facebook, I saw it. I'm not on Facebook
Yes,
anymore.
yes,
But
yes,
I just want to commend both of them, and the way they both they rally around you, Mr. Thorne.
thank you.
It is a blessing to see, because we love to see the unity.
Yes. Well, let me give me a chance for this advertisement. We had an executive committee meeting last night,
Yes.
and I was telling David Boyne, I said, David, that's the best executive committee meeting I've attended, and it had less to do with the agenda and more to do with the spirit. Now, we normally say prayers. I think all organizations do this. You say a prayer at the beginning, but at the end, I say, no, look, let us do a prayer again. And I call on our reverend to do a prayer, and somebody said, man, I ain't praying. He said it in a light-hearted manner. I ain't praying, I go now home. I said, no, no, I'm not going to call his name. I said, no, 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 let us do this prayer. And Marcia, the prayer was done. And I mean, the dynamic and the spirit that we had last night, I have never quite experienced it that way at the DLP headquarters. So when you heard about the foolishness, about we have these problems that we up there fighting, it was a beautiful place last night. It was an oasis, and it was a group of people coming together to
Yes.
achieve one objective, to rescue this country. The
Yes.
recognition, the recognition that we must have a common purpose, and our common purpose is to persuade the people of Barbados that the life term of this government has ended, and an election. We need to tell the people in Barbados that this is one of the more serious elections, and we have to bring the life of this government to an end through the polls, of course.
Yes, through the polls. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about that. And folks, all of what Mr. Thorne is saying is that you need to come out tomorrow and show your public display.
Yes.
Of
disapproval for how this government, disapproval against how this government has been functioning. And we're looking for a cross-section of Barbadians tomorrow, because I think Barbadians are now united in their discontent and dissatisfaction with the way this government is doing things, sneaking things upon us, doing things in the dark.
Yes.
And then when it comes to light, and look, Marcia, the only reason it is coming to light is because a lot of these things must come to the parliament. Now, this is not self-praise, but supposing we had a parliament of 30 love.
Right.
This would not have become an issue unless you used to make it an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But now, thank God, we have a parliament.
Correct.
With the DLP president. One in the House, two in the Senate. Who will oppose these things? Who will bring it to the level? Who will bring the people's opposition to the level of parliament? Your show has done, as I said, a marvelous job. The loyal opposition operating within this medium, within this space, and the protests and the marches that you do. But we have brought the opposition into parliament, and that is important.
Yes.
That is very important. Yeah?
Yes.
Because it sends a signal to the world that our parliament has not been unanimous in these injustices. And
we're happy that you guys are there. We are happy you're there as a unit and supporting each other. And when we see that, we said yes. And we are out here cheering you on. And as you talked about the unity, you could see the smile on my face and the relief, because we are working very hard out here, and we want to make sure that you guys are working very hard in there. We know you're working hard and that it's unified. But let me just ask, I know people are, oh Lord, people calling already. I just want to say call now. So let's hear this caller. And remember, we're not going to do any name calling on here tonight. Okay, guys?
You don't have a delay system?
No, I got to deal with them.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, caller, good night. But I'm going to kindly ask you, sir, to turn down your microphone, your
Marcia, you're off now. Oh, that's a. Oh.
Good night.
I want to say that God will continue to bless Mr. Ralph Thorne and his party. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for calling. Did you hear? Yes, did you hear that well, Mr. Thorne? Could you hear?
Yes, I did. I did. Marcia, I have. Look, and I want to thank him.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's a gentleman.
Yes, it's a gentleman.
I want to thank him. He adds to the list of people who have fortified us in this work that we are doing. People who are praying for us. Yeah, people who are invoking the scriptures in our favor. We really respect and appreciate that. We really do.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. We have another caller on the line. Caller, good night, and thank you for calling the Marcia Week Show.
Good night, Marcia. I also want to express my thanks, my family's thanks, and thanks Canadians for the good job Mr. Thorne and his senators.
Yes. Are you hearing? Just let me know if you're hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
I also want to Thorne because in a lot he gave some specific he would do with his and things like that.
Okay, you're saying a specific. Say that again, please. Okay, you're breaking up, caller. You're breaking up. I'm not hearing you very well. It's so.
Hear me a bit, Marcia?
What I'm saying is that in his speech, he gave ideas of what he would do if he win the government.
Oh yes. Yes,
so we want to hear from him. I'm sure that Barbadians want to hear.
I'd be happy to do that for you.
In terms of the integrity legislation and declaring the assets of politicians, like in the first 100 days, what you would do in those cases. And the other one I want to put on the table is the whole issue of the constitution for a republic. How long we would take, because we in almost 4 years. So we need to hear some nail down some specifics that we can deal with.
Right. Okay.
But
Thank you.
I really want to express my thanks to him and to his family, because I know the pressure when you're being cursed like that is not only you being cursed, but your family goes through it.
Oh, yeah.
So I hope that God continues to give him the strength to continue and hold up his family at the same time.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, caller.
very
Thank
much.
you so much. Okay. So,
Marcy,
integrity.
this handsome fella next to me is Alvin Topping.
Yes, I met him before. I met. Good night, Mr. Toppin.
Hi, good night, Marcia. How are you doing?
Great. It's good to see you again. I was just saying to Dave, I haven't seen you in a little bit, so I'm glad to see you again.
Grateful to be here.
And
Yes,
Alvin
sir.
has been doing a lot of work in St. Lucie. He's our candidate in St. Lucie, beg your pardon. And Alvin was present at the town hall meeting on Thursday night. Wednesday night.
Yes, yes.
And what is interesting, Marcia, permit me again to do some politicking here. I'm a politician.
Yes.
The representative, the parliamentary representative for St. Lucie called the Bastat program today and admitted that he was wrong for not speaking at the town hall meeting. He admitted that on Bastat today. In fact, when I heard it, I telephoned Alvin. I said, Alvin, get to your radio immediately. Alvin said, yes, I just got into my car. Go and listen to this. Yeah. Again, that's how we work.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear the parliamentary representative on the radio. I call our candidate immediately. Listen to this. Now, Alvin spoke at that town hall meeting. The parliamentary representative for St. Lucie was on Bastat today, being criticized by Mr. David Ellis for not speaking at the town hall meeting. And he said, I suppose I made a mistake in that.
Yeah, but we're happy that Mr. Toppin was there, and it's good to see you, Mr. Toppin. But let's get to this. He spoke well. I heard that. I'm going to hear from him a little later. But let's get to this. Yeah, but let's get to the question here about the integrity legislation. They want to know about that and about the Constitution. What is the DLP's position on that? And, what can people expect?
Obviously, we have to pass integrity legislation. I will confess to you, when I did my reply in Parliament, I did not list that among them. But I think after all that has gone on in these 7 years, I think that is something that Barbadians will demand. There were two pieces of legislation, or are two pieces of integrity legislation before on the record of Parliament. To be honest, the DLP passed one before they left office in 2018. Yes. And this government passed one. I remember speaking on it. I remember the speech I made. I remember criticizing the Democratic Labour Party. I speak honestly. I remember criticizing the Democratic Labour Party for having passed it in the Parliament and not having brought it into law. Here it is, the Barbados Labour Party has done the same thing. The same thing. And it would mean, I would feel very embarrassed, Marcia, to become a government after the next election and do the same thing. I mean, I don't think people would take us seriously. I do not think people.
So that is something that you believe that you would pass it into law, that it would become law.
Yes. We have to do that. As to the Constitution, Marcia, I mean, this present situation with a failure. You've gone Republic and you don't have a Republican Constitution. You say you went around the country holding town hall meetings, all poorly attended. You sent the commissioners overseas on usual joyride. Every government official loves a plane. I don't know what's this about planes. And they sent them into the diaspora, held some very feeble town hall meetings, and then presented a draft to the president of this country. It is disrespectful to the president of this country to hand Her Excellency a draft constitution, and the Attorney General, during the estimate, comes to the Parliament And in response to a question from me, he says, he dismisses it. So that we let the estimates debate, not knowing what is the status of the draft constitution that was drafted by that commission. We don't know as far as he's concerned. He said we don't really need it because we have a constitution already, as Mr. Hinds explained earlier. We have a Westminster Constitution while we are claiming to be a republic.
Republic, yeah.
And that is untenable. So that in response to the caller, we would do it properly. We would do it properly. We would have properly constituted town hall meetings, Alvin, over a period. You can't have it for less than a year or 18 months. There needs to be the engagement of the public. The public needs to say, for example, whether they want a ceremonial head of state or an executive head of state. The parliament, not the parliament, the people need to say, the people need to say, and I think everybody in Barbados agrees with this, after this episode, and I call this an episode, that after this political episode that we have had passing production, whether you do not need to lessen prime ministerial powers. The prime minister is wielding the kind of power that has never been seen in this country before. That is why my theme was, show me a democracy and I will show you a tyranny in the making. Barbadians are in the midst of tyrannical rule. Going after call her a despot. I am saying she's a tyrant. She behaves like a tyrant. You must be behaving like a tyrant. When you feel that last Sunday, you can pick up a phone and call a constitutional office of Auditor General. And as I say to the media, you do not have that power. You cannot call the Auditor General and interrogate him. You cannot call the Director of Public Prosecutions and interrogate him. You cannot call the Chief Justice and interrogate him. These are constitutional offices that are insulated from prime ministerial power, except that we seem to have a prime minister who believes that she can call these people and interrogate them. And I was appalled that she admitted that. I was so that we need a new constitution that properly defines and demarcates prime ministerial power and the powers of even ministers. We need a new constitution that defines that, because there's a sense in which the present constitution, or the constitution that we had since 1966, did give the prime minister too much power. That is admitted. Because it used to be said that a Barbadian prime minister had more power than an American president. And that was true. And in a democracy where we have a lot of educated people in this country now, and in the diaspora as demonstrated by Mr. Hinds. We have a lot of enlightened and educated. Oh, somebody's still there.
Yeah, somebody's.
We need a constitution that defines powers of the officials of state. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, we that's great. We have a caller here. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Thanks for calling. Do you have a question for the leader of the opposition? Yes.
How are you all doing?
We're fine. We're fine. Thank you.
Great.
Okay,
thank you.
Good. One for Marcia and one for Mr. Thorne. Marcia, you still off of Facebook?
Yes, I'm not on Facebook. They have
They still, oh, okay, I understand. And Mr. Thorne, but
Yes,
you didn't talk about
I'm not allowed to call your name.
I
RC.
wanted to know from you if you know the real reason for the removal of the fire station from Western to Artshaw, because I have been reliably informed that it has already been sold to Mr. MM. You know who MM is?
Yeah, don't call any name.
No name.
Don't call the name. Yes.
You know who MM is,
No,
right?
we don't. No, we don't. And
Okay,
please
keep
don't tell us.
going. Keep going. Thank you. Keep going.
That's my question to Mr. Thorne.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
I will message you back and tell you who MMA
All right.
in case
Yes.
it doesn't do.
Yes, you
Good
can.
night and stay safe.
Good night. Good night. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Great
You're
hearing from you.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Any comments on that, Mr. Thorne? Well, at least why the
No,
fire
please.
station was removed?
No, please.
No, please. Well,
But you know, it is a trend. It is a trend in Barbados. It is a trend. We are concentrating power in a few hands, and that is what the East Coast is about, and that is what Holetown is about, where we're going tomorrow, and that is what Bay Street is about. The concentration of financial and economic power in a few hands. Show me a democracy, and I'll show you a tyranny in the making. So that the tyranny is not only political, it is financial and economic. And that is why Barbadians are rebelling. And Barbadians are rebelling all the more so because a lot of Barbadians are being impoverished. We are becoming an impoverished lot around here. This government has made no effort to control the cost of living. This government is making even less of an effort to control crime around here. We start off the year 11 people. 11 people have perished. And we're going along so nicely, Alvin. We're going along so nicely as if, well, this is something that could happen, it happened. And no effort, no legislation, no new legislation. Marcy, we're not hearing you. You've muted yourself.
Yes, because I have, so there's another caller,
Okay, sorry
here.
about that.
Yes, no, you keep it rolling. We want to hear you. Good night, caller.
Good night, sir, Mr. Thorne.
How are you?
I'm so proud of you, how you carry them on in Parliament. I love the way that Mr. Walters and Mr. Worrell is doing in the Senate.
Yeah.
I'm glad you, Mr. Thorne, mash up the people in Parliament. They were talking like children, not adults, because they got to apply everything that they got to say to Mia all the time.
Yes.
She is who got to be ruling them or telling them what to do. She is the kite and them is the friggin' tail. Mr. Thorne, I love you. I love you and I will not stop loving you. You're going to see me tomorrow. You know who the body is, the person that was sick here the other day.
Oh, one big hug tomorrow.
So you will see me tomorrow.
I hope so.
Love you, and I love my DLP, but not
love
so
you.
We are going to be back in office soon from now.
If it is God's will.
Have a pleasant night, sir.
Pleasant night to you. Love you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'd also like to implore the folks from St. Lucie, my constituents, to come to the march tomorrow and show some solidarity with the cause as well.
Yes. Why is that so important to you, Mr. Toppin, that people come out to the march tomorrow? Why is that so important to you?
Well, I mean, as a sports person, for culture, heritage is important to me. So it's definitely my main reason for wanting people to come out. Yes, we should have development, but it should not be at the expense of heritage and culture. Mm-hmm.
Yes, so it's important for them to be there, and we should see you there tomorrow.
Yes, you will see me there tomorrow.
The last time I saw you were out giving out water.
Yeah, I actually came here from St. Lucie. I went to see the lady that was incidentally on brass tacks today because she would have spoken at the town hall about the skin issue. Yeah. So I basically just went to see her. I delivered some water to her as well. Mm-hmm. And I went to see her to get some facts about the issue. And I'm going to share the information with Comrade Ralph. And it looks like it could be going a legal way. And he's a lawyer and I am not. Mm-hmm. But, it's a very serious situation with the water because she was actually drinking the water before she knew
Yes.
there was an issue, right? So I want to thank her for inviting me. I left down there like what, after 7, and she said the MP, not necessarily the member of parliament, but he has been deemed the missing parliamentarian. He's given a new he's given a new meaning to MP, and he did say on last that I heard him that he was going to visit her, and up until the time that I left, he had not. You know, it's quite interesting the water situation in St. Lucie. At the town hall, what it brought out to me was that a lot of the residents are frustrated. The Minister of Finance was there, Ryan Thorne, and you know, the residents are definitely in agreement that the $32 is an insult to them, and they've been long suffering. The Barbados Water Authority, you know, we appreciate the work that they have been doing. And Marcia, you know, I consider myself an active listener because it's a real big part of my job.
Yes.
And what was instructive for me was that a representative of the Barbados Water Authority said that they were instructed by the government to resolve the issue in 12 months. I think that was really instructive for me, that they were instructed by the government to finish or to resolve the issue within 12 months. I think it is a situation where communication has been lacking on the issue. Lots of the residents seemingly were not aware of what the real issue was. There was a lot of talk about names, but the 3 issues advanced by the Water Authority was, yes, there was some rusting from online mains, but there was also sediment in the, well, you can call it the Aquifer, the well at Allendale, which incidentally is the main source of water for St. Lucie. It pumps 850,000 gallons per day. So there's some sediment in that aquifer, which is causing the discoloration. And then there is a disturbance of that sediment, when the water flow changes. So my question to the Water Authority is, if I'm drinking red Kool-Aid, and I'm not using that color facetiously, but that was the thing that came to mind. And the straw is the main, and I change my straw and I drink from the same source, what color would be my Kool-Aid?
Yes.
So I believe that it is a real situation where the source of the water seems to be the major problem. And there are also some localized issues, like when the water tanks come out, they're not on a schedule, so people don't know when work is being done, because, you know, circulars are not posted out. They just put stuff on their website and social media, but everybody is not tech savvy or social media savvy, so we definitely seem to have a communication problem with respect to the water issue. And we've been agitating on this issue for the better part of a year. The first time I actually went to the parish and interviewed people about the issue would have been February 12th last year. So I actually heard the missing parliamentarian say in Parliament last week that he used a phrase that was quite unparliamentary. He talked about, and I can't say it, I can't say it here, but you can go back and watch the speech. He also said he came to talk about water, and I found it strange that after 7 years he would automatically just want to talk about water when the people have been suffering for so long. He also gave the impression that he was working on behalf of the people, but every time I ask people about if they're satisfied with the level of representation.
Let's focus on you, Alvin.
Yeah,
let's focus on what you are doing.
Yeah, but I've been doing a lot of stuff.
Let us remind Marcia that a few months ago we wrote a letter.
Yes, we did.
It was signed by me as opposition leader, you as representative for St. Lucie, and Verla as our legal,
and Pedro as well.
And Pedro. Yeah. Right. We wrote that letter to Water Authority insisting that Water Authority exercises forgiveness in relation to bills. The government's response, or BWA's response, because we took the legal position that when a person signs up and pays a bill to water authority, he or she must receive water of a certain standard and quality. And we were taking the legal position that if water authority is sending you contaminated water, it is a fundamental breach of the contract. And if you're breaching the contract fundamentally, the subscriber or the consumer should not pay. We sent that letter. So we are wondering if water authority's response in paying what, $32 a month is a response to our letter. So if it is, that's a partial victory for us. But a gentleman on the program today said, no, the 32 is not enough. He said he would probably accept 60. But we are still taking our position that there must be forgiveness on bills if the water is going to be contaminated. And Alvin has been a part of that initiative. The letter went to Water Authority. Alvin signed it, I signed it, Pedro Shepherd signed it, and Burla de Peter signed it. If that is a partial victory, fine. But we want full victory in relation to these bills.
Yes, excellent, excellent job. Before you go on, let me just remind, because I know they're listening to you all. I want to remind persons that you can call in. I just want to say to people, because 2 persons messaged me and saying I'm not seeing what they have in the chat. Remember that Dave is also working the chat, so he's going to put things up while I'm trying to follow the conversation. So please don't assume that I'm seeing your questions and I'm not asking your questions or putting up your comments. I don't do everything, okay? Please understand that. I just want to have that disclaimer because I've got messages. You didn't see my message, etc. Please have mercy. I don't do everything. So if you have questions, go ahead and give us a call, 236-7000. That way we're sure to not miss them, okay? Because I have to listen to the guests as well. All right, so give us a call. Continue, please, Mr. Toppin.
Right. So I was saying, Ralph said to focus on me, so I'll do that. I've been agitating and advocating on the constituents' behalf, not only with respect to the water issue, but this post office has been closed, and I would have sent a correspondence to the Postmaster General to get an idea when it will be reopened. I've been dealing with housing issues for residents as well. Recently got a breakthrough for a constituent who was in a situation where they were given a notice to quit. So they're in the one family program, incidentally, and it seems to me that there were not enough resources to move her at the time. But then I got an email last week saying that the case was looked into and this is how it's progressing. So I'll take that as a partial victory as well. And I've been generally engaging constituents and looking at the issues and offering assistance where possible, because obviously I'm not in a position necessarily right now to have unlimited resources, because
but you're doing what you can do to help.
We're advocating and we're representing the people, and they seem to be quite happy with that.
Happy with that. There is a caller. That's very good. There is a caller on the line. Caller, good night and welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi, good night. Just want to say good night to Ralph, Alvin, and you yourself, Martin.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, just saying to Mr. Thorne, I think you're doing a good job. Just want to share one thing. Mr. Thorne, like what you did earlier with Mr. Topping, when you say like let's talk about what is that we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I listened to you. You have some very good points, but we also want to that you come to us also with what you could do and what you plan on changing if you were to get in power, right? As I say, you have some very good points, but for me, I find with most of these speeches, you don't hear enough that if you guys come to power, what you have in store for us, what you do to change, to make things a lot better for the public as well.
Yes.
As you say, it's a very serious thing because most Bajans is living paycheck to paycheck. Most of us
Yeah.
is living on cards. So my thing is, what would your DLP do for us to help in a situation like that? So that's looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah,
But
thanks
once again,
very much.
kudos for the job you're doing and the information that you continue to bring to us.
Thanks very much.
Good night.
Thanks very much. And I want you to stay and listen. At the end of my budget reply, I listed a few of the proposals. If it is God's will that we should occupy government, and I'm going to repeat some of them now. I said we would propose to lower the VAT on food for sure. We would want to establish a relationship with Barbados Light and Power to ensure that light and power bills can be more affordable. During the budget debate, budget reply, I sought to explain that while the Fair Trading Commission set the price on electricity, that the government ought to have a policy relationship with Barbados Light and Power. And it is a fact that government does have a policy relationship with Light and Power, so that we resolve this issue as to whether we're going to go forward with fossil fuels or whether we're going to go forward with the alternative energy. And government, look, electricity rates are too high. And we cannot rely on Fair Trading Commission alone, which has the legal authority to deal with prices. They have the legal authority. But the cabinet, the government of Barbados, has policy in its hands. And the government of Barbados must collaborate with Barbados Light and Power to determine what shall be the future of electricity generation in Barbados. Are we going fully alternative, or are we going to be continuing with fossil fuels? That is a discussion, that is a dialogue that needs to take place between the Barbados government and Barbados Light and Power. We are not satisfied that that dialogue is taking place, and I have accused the government of being in bed with Barbados Light and Power in a manner that is keeping electricity rates high. I make bold to say that. And that would be one of our proposals, to enter into a relationship with Barbados Light and Power in which the consumer, the interest of the consumer, is represented. I said something on housing as well. We would reverse this housing policy in which agricultural lands are being excavated, dug up, to put concrete permanently on lands that were previously in agriculture. I heard one of the spokespersons for the government come out and say after the budget debate that we still have enough agricultural land. And then he went on to say that the lands that are planted up with wild tamarind are probably not usable again. I saw that as an excuse to further remove land from agriculture and put them into housing. I reject that.
Thorne, if I could ask you to take a pen right there, as you're going through. Let's get in a couple more calls,
yes,
okay?
Please.
Give me a second, please, okay? Yeah. Okay, caller, thank you for calling.
Good night, yes.
Yes, good night, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, I wish to express my profound thanks to Mr. Thorne for the work that he is doing on the behalf of the citizens of Barbados.
My pleasure.
I think if he was not in Parliament, we would have been, I don't know, something past hell, and something worse than hell. So I thank you, Mr. Thorne, for the beautiful work that you are doing. The universe never makes mistakes, and the universe placed you in that position precisely for the job that you are doing on our behalf. Now, I have a question. Can we, the citizens, revoke the decisions of the government? Because I think the government has committed sedition and treason against the citizens of Barbados.
Those are some serious words, serious accusations there. So that's in your opinion. So that's your opinion. Yes. Continue, please.
Yeah, that's my opinion. And I have a right to hold an opinion. And the government's decisions are impacting on my life and my family's life. And
How old are you, sir? May I ask, please?
I do it from time to time.
Hold a second,
therefore,
caller, there's a
one
question for
estimation-
you. There's a question for you. Repeat
Yeah.
the question, Mr. Thorne.
How old is the caller? If I may ask, not the name, the age. I like to know what demographic, what age.
What's
group
you was asking
is
what's your
impacted.
age?
Oh, I am a pensioner. I'm in my 70s.
Yes, yes, yes. And you feel, at your age, you feel strongly about these injustices. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Should the government be allowed to get away with this kind of violence against the citizens?
No, and I love the use of the word violence. It is violence. It is a war against the citizens of this country.
Indeed, and that is why I am wondering, what can we do to reverse this sedition and the treason against us?
Well, tomorrow we hope we'll send a message to government. Let our voices be heard. Let us have the courage to do what you're doing, to register your protest. And tomorrow is about the registration of national protest against the government in a peaceful way, of course.
Oh, I missed a few of your words there, but I will definitely be there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And I think he was asking if some of those decisions can be reversed. If you say, for example, if you had that opportunity or blessed with that opportunity to be in government, is some of those decisions, can they be reversed?
Marcia, that is why the decisions are so perniciously dangerous. When you vest land, caller, that's permanent. That's it. As somebody said, the lands at Jemmott Lane, it is not beyond possibility that the bank can sell those lands. The government has given the lands to the people. It's theirs. Holetown is a done deal. It went through Parliament. It's done. And that is why it is so dangerous. That is why the government needs to stop in its tracks from alienating the lands of this country. Whether it is the foreigners or locals, stop alienating the lands of this country. When I say alienating, I mean giving away the lands of this country permanently in a manner that destroys heritage.
Yeah, because it can't. It's already made. You can't do anything.
It's done.
Once it's gone, it's done.
It's done. And that's why we have to remain vigilant and ensure that it does not continue in relation to other lands. As I said before, Marcia and caller, they're coming to Holetown. There's suspicions about the garrison as well, and the DSA quarters and so on. So the government is on an excursion through Barbados to destroy what we have held as being sacred.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, caller. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Wow. And this is why I heard you say that, that once it's vested, it's in private hands. It's nothing, you can't do anything. Wow. I tell you. Well, let me see. There was somebody who kept calling, so we want to make sure because we promised them in this time. But I know you were. I don't know if you could say a few of the other, ideas that you guys.
I was on to housing. Yes, thanks very much, Marcia. Look, this government's policy in relation to housing is to scrape, and I'm going to use that term, to scrape the topsoil off of the land of this country and to plant cement. Like the resolutions in Parliament, that's permanent as well. It cannot be reversed. What we are proposing, it's, as I said during the budget reply, to go into the established communities. I can take anybody for a drive across Lucy, all across this country, and St. Michael in particular. There are several vacant housing lots in St. Michael, and there are several dilapidated houses across this country. Now, we're not going to be reinventing the wheel out there. I concede that this is the kind of work that urban and rural had done. They had, across Barbados, been rehabilitating the housing stock. And we can rehabilitate the housing stock by going into the lived-in communities, not only working class communities, middle class communities as well, and give that work to local contractors. That's important. Give that work to local contractors. And the icing on the cake would be to restore the old building styles, to make Barbados especially pleasing to look at again. You're not going to have the old-time Jalopy windows with the finer workmanship, but you can have the appearance of it. And make Barbados beautiful again. I love to drive around and look at the old houses falling into disrepair now, but the design, the workmanship of those little old men who built those houses, there's a lot of scope for a new housing trust. I know the people at Lancaster don't feel good. Trevor Preston described the houses, and I don't like to talk about it because you're really putting down the people who are in them. But they are aesthetically not pleasing to look at. It is making the topography of Barbados ugly, and there's a lot of scope for going back into the lived-in communities,
Yes.
the established communities, and rehabilitate your housing peacefully. And there's a lot of work for
That has to be
our
done.
builders. Yes, if we do that, rather than scraping off agricultural land and putting up these things and condemning or people to live in it.
Yes,
Lots
yes.
of scope in the lived-in
Well, as
community.
you can hear, the phone lines are going. The phone line is going.
Okay.
We have a caller. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Good night, caller.
Good night. Good night, Marcia.
Yes, good
Good
night,
night, Mr.
ma'am.
Cochran, Mr. Thorne, and the loyal opposition.
Yes, welcome,
I
welcome.
have what is a follow-up question to the gentleman
Give
who
us
was
a second here.
asking about reversing the decisions of the current government. My question is, since nothing can be reversed, once this government is out, can investigations be done to show, I have to be very careful in terms I use, the violence that they have done? And can we freeze their personal accounts until after the investigation and charge them for some of these wrongs that they are doing?
Previous governments have been known to do commissions of inquiry, and I take that question very seriously. A commission of inquiry is the way to go if you want to do an investigation. Freezing account, that would come only through an order of the court after people have been charged and so on. Let's not go there yet. But to unearth the proof as to what is going on in this country, you can do a commission of an inquiry. A commission of inquiry is nothing new. That's nothing new. It has been done before.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it through the Public Accounts Committee, and they're blocking me. And disingenuously going to Parliament this week and saying, oh, they haven't met for a year. I have not met for a year because they closed it down. And I have decided to bring it to the public. And that was part of my exercise last week. If they criticize me for talking 10 hours, I am willing to talk 20 to expose the wrongdoing that this government is practicing. They closed the thing down. I wanted to investigate Hope. And they said, no, we don't want to investigate that. It is so disingenuous to come and tell people we haven't met when they are the persons that decided that if they don't want to discuss what or investigate what they want to investigate, they're not doing anything. You know what they did? They invoked the law, which say that every decision is subject to a vote. They're in the majority. We can't win if everything goes to a vote. I felt that as chairman, I have the right to set the agenda. I felt that I had the right to say that I wanted Hope investigated. I felt that I had the right to say that I wanted the Comey loan investigated. And I wrote to the Auditor General and told him that I want reports on Hope and I want reports on Comey. As far as I'm told, there's a draft report on Hope.
Okay, I think we lost his audio. We lost the audio.
Yes, I am not hearing him. No.
Okay. Audio, something
But
went.
I have a.
But we have another caller. So another caller on the line.
You hear me again, Marcia?
Could I clarify something with him?
Yes, clarify. Yes, quickly. Thank you.
Okay, as long as this government is in power, he will not be able to do any investigations. What I am querying is when the Barbadian public wakes up and a different party is at that point that I am asking if we can do thorough investigations, and if results show the wrongdoings, is at that point that we can freeze their accounts and recoup expenses which have been taken from the Barbadian people.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, caller. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. Have a
Yes.
good
Thanks
night.
for calling. Yes. Yes. But you're saying that at least an inquiry can be done. You're
Been
saying.
done before. Been done before.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's 10 o'clock, but there's somebody here who had been calling the entire night. So let me just see. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes, welcome.
Hello, good night. Hi, good night.
Yes. Good night, Mr. Thorne.
Hello, how are you?
Good night, Mr. Thorne.
Good night. You're up late.
And Mr. Thorne, you remind me of a late Prime Minister by the name of David Thompson.
Really? He was taller.
Yeah. You remind me of David Thompson.
Okay.
He had said that our PM is a tyrant.
You're listening to your device? I think you're listening to your device.
I turn it off.
Okay, turn it off because it seemed like you're yes.
Yeah.
Continue, caller.
Okay. And when I call you to Mr. Thorne,
yeah,
you can I have to talk to you privately though, but you can get my number from the streets. And
okay.
what I call you about, I haven't heard nothing in the budget about increase for the pensioners to help cope with the high cost of living.
Pensioners.
Yeah. And
that's why they handed it to Mr. Strong. That's one of the reasons it was handed to him. When there's nothing that's of value, give it to the underling.
Oh. Anyhow, I want you to look into it for me, and I know about the Public Accounts Committee.
Yeah.
The government side, I know about that. They would not let you function the way you should. And they are disowning it. These are coming disowning in the Senate someday this week. Yeah, I heard her.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, caller. Thanks for being so persistent. And we only have one line, so I'm glad. Thank you for being persistent. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes.
Have a good
thank
night.
you. Good night. Yeah. Yes, sir. And oh boy, I think it's 10. Oh, we've had you a long time. I'm going to.
You're fine. You're fine.
I need. Okay, we have a call here. Then we have a call here. Since you're fine. They're gonna pick back up soon. This is so great. And the very first time you came on, this is what you did. You just we didn't have this access to, to the phone lines. Well, we read the questions ahead of time. And caller, good night.
Good night. Good night to you, Marcia. Good night to Mr. Thorne and Mr. Alvin. Question, Mr. Thorne. The same process that the government is now using to acquire land, forcibly or otherwise, with a new government in place, can they not do the same process to Jemmott's Lane and wherever else land was pretty much stolen away?
I wouldn't use the term stolen, an unfortunate term, but that is not something you would want to do. That is not something you would want to do. The closest that comes to that is nationalization, and that's not within our contemplation. Nationalization of private assets. That's not something you want to do. Look, ma'am, it is done. It is done. And you know how the people of Barbados can stop it? Stop this government from being the government. Yes, 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 of course. It's
That's
done.
not a problem. That's not a problem. I'm ready to vote.
Beg your pardon?
That's not a problem. I am ready to vote.
Good. Good.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you,
very much.
caller. Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes. Okay, let's see if we can get a couple. Okay, there's one here. And I'm still trying to put there's some people here. If you can read the chat, I don't know if your assistants can read the chat. Yes, good night. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Yes, a blessed good night to you, Marcia Weeks.
Yes, good night. Thank you.
And the other gentleman.
Mr. Topping,
I'm calling to congratulate Mr. Topping. Yeah, good night. Welcome, Mr. Topping. I'm calling to give everyone congratulations on the great work that they're doing. And thank you, Honorable Ralph Thorne, to be my voice of, you speak about the workers being victimized, etc.
Yeah.
I must congratulate you. You did a very wonderful job. And I thank you for representing the people of Barbados.
Thank you.
You have my full support, and I'm a dedicated and a loyal Democratic Party person. And I hope to see you tomorrow to congratulate you in person at others.
Yes. Thank you.
Continue the wonderful job that you're doing in Parliament, because without you, our voice can never be heard. So I'm proud of you, Mr. Honorable Ralph Thorne.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, caller, and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. God bless.
Okay, blessings.
Yes.
You're almost with y'all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night. Yes. There's another one. You said so, and they're calling. Yes, they heard you. That is okay. Good night, caller.
Good night, Marcia, and good night to the panel.
Yes, good night.
Especially Honorable Ralph Thorne.
Hello.
What I must say is, as the business in the long talk, continue to do the good work you're doing, Sir Thorne. Know that the diaspora in Canada is looking on and cheering on. We see, we hear, and we know.
AM.
And
I hope AM?
Feel at home, but pardon?
Is this AM? Don't call your name.
Indeed.
Yes. Pleasure hearing you.
It's AM and the PM. AM and the PM. Soon to see a PM in the AM. So,
God's will, my friend. God's will. If it is God's will.
Yes, I think that your role now is not. Hello.
Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Right, I'm saying that your role goes beyond just politics now. This is the survival of a country. And my last comment is this: to any person who thinks that I'm against the establishment of a bank or anything like that, no. Any bank that is of substance can come to our shores, but it is the way it was done that I think speaks leaves a lot to be desired by the people of Barbados.
Yes.
Because if things like that can be established and gain the amount of land and diplomatic immunity, well, if it happens to one, the other one will say, you know what, it's a free for all. We can take over the land. So without any further ado, Sir Thorne, continue the good work. We in the diaspora look on and we admire your courage. Continue.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, caller. Thank you, caller. I think there's somebody else in the diaspora. I can see the number. So let me get this diasporan in. Okay, let's see if we can get them back in. Mr. Toppin, I tell you, the people they love this. They love this opportunity. Good night. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi, I just wanted to say to Mr. Thorne, thank you for everything that you're doing. The only thing I would like to do is maybe work for you, do some campaigning. I would come to Barbados and do that.
Did you hear
And,
that? She's volunteer. Or is that a volunteer?
That's
I'm volunteering, and I'm asking all Barbadians to come out and support Mr. Thorne and support DLP. In addition, tomorrow, the march, I can't be there, Marcia, but I hope that people come out. I hope that people realize how important this is for Barbados. Our lands are important, and I hope that Barbados can create maybe some legislation that will save our lands. I think this is really, really important.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
Yes.
We don't call names.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's another one here. We're going to cut off at a certain time. Guys, at 10:15, we're cutting off, okay? Good night. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Reed Show.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night to the panel. Good night to the loyal opposition.
Yes.
My question is, I feel really peeved about, what's happening with the selling off of our, our prime land, our assets, and then nothing can be done about it. The same way the government can compulsory acquire people's property. Why can't, the reverse happen? Why can't anything be done about this situation when it's not in favor of the Barbadian public?
Any comments?
Somebody's asking, and I think similar question, if you can do an injunction. No.
I didn't hear that.
You were asking if it can be reversed.
Yes, the same way that land is compulsory acquired by government.
If a subsequent government can do that?
Yeah, yes, or if it can be blocked in court or something.
Well, look.
If it's not in the best interest of the Barbadian public.
Look, a compulsory acquisition, or let's say the people, I beg your pardon. Let's say the entity builds a hotel there. And a subsequent government tries to compulsorily acquire, as you were suggesting. That would not work because that would be in the nature of a confiscation. Yeah, which would involve vindictiveness, and they would be able to go to court and say, look, the government is breaching my constitutional right to my private property, because what the government has done, the government has enfranchised them, the government has given them the land, it is theirs. And it is almost impossible
so I was
to
looking even before, know that we are aware of it, before the building and everything starts, if there's something that can be done about it before
before it goes through. Somebody was on the screen asking about an injunction. No, an injunction would not work in those circumstances. What government has done is done. I'm sorry. Look, that is why it is so serious. I mean, what you are saying, caller, really zeroes in on the problem, homes in on the problem that this government has created for Barbadians, not for itself, but for Barbadians, that they have given this thing away permanently. It belongs to the African Bank. That's why they could write the letter and say nobody passes Jemmott Lane on Monday.
If I can jump in here and ask a question, I think some people have been saying, but what's the difference between this and the Hyatt? Didn't David Commission, didn't get an injunction? Did it actually happen?
I don't think he got an injunction. He got a hearing in court.
A hearing.
Asking the court to order a town hall meeting. But his action in court did not affect title. Did not affect title. His was about them planning to build an 18-story hotel, and he was saying the shadow cast from that hotel. This is funny. The shadow cast from that hotel would cover his father's grave when he is going to visit his father's grave, and he did not want that. But his lawsuit had nothing to do with title.
Okay.
Lawsuit related to moral rights.
Okay, so my next statement then is, is it possible that you know, some legal something can be done to frustrate the effort?
Ma'am, to reverse title, no. That is why this thing is of such gravity. It's gone. It's gone. I know how strongly Barbadians feel, and Barbadians should feel strongly. And let Barbadians feel even more strongly when they discover that it's gone. The government has given away the lands next to the hospital, lands that ought to have had a school or an extension to a hospital, so that people should not be dying in A&E after sitting there for 3 days. Barbadians would have loved it if a development bank had come here and said, look, let's get a hospital there. Let's get a children's hospital there. Or put the geriatric hospital there. But they put the geriatric hospital on the water table. These people can't do anything right, Alvin. Nothing is done right in this country.
Implementation deficit.
That's where the geriatric hospital should have gone, as a twin to the existing hospital. And Barbadians know these things, but this government goes ahead and, I mean, they're rampaging across Barbados. Rampaging across Barbados, and everything is wrong.
So in the new constitution now, provisions can be made to prohibit, you know, things like this from happening again. Because a lot
that is why this government ought to have had genuine consultation with the people over a new constitution, limiting the powers of government. And that's important. It is important to limit the powers of government, so that a government should not have been able to do this, Marcia, unless they had gone through certain steps. National consultation. Look, did not the notice go into the paper in January for what they have done just a few weeks ago? This has been fast-tracked. And I wanted to say as well that these lands at Jemmott Lane, as far as I'm aware, were the subject matter of discussions with another entity, another Barbadian entity. Barbadians don't know that.
Oh, wow.
They don't know that. There were discussions pertaining to this land with a Barbadian entity in recent times. And Marcy, I believe a notice went into the newspaper within the last couple of months for this transfer to affect them by. And here we are, last Thursday we in the parliament, giving it to them.
Yes.
No, it's saint, giving it to them and arguing cultural affinity. But as I say, the argument for cultural affinity is outweighed by the argument, the commercial argument, which says that this is madness.
Yes,
This
yes,
is
it's crazy.
of this country.
Yeah.
I used to go in there when it was the Ministry of Education. I remember the long pillar when it was the Ministry of Education, when it was a health facility, but everything is a hotel. And this nonsense about thousands of jobs. They need to stop telling Barbadians these lies. What thousands of jobs? We have thousands of people.
And it's really cooperating Barbadians, you know, because when you see all the concessions that they're getting, and then we have to pay a sewage tax. There's so much taxes that we have to pay. It's really not good. They're just cooperating and using Barbadians. It's, you know, it's like, it's oversized, it's disjointed, there's no balance.
Yes, yes. Well, caller, thank you so much for your comments and for your questions. Very thought-provoking. Thank you.
And Marcy, I'm saying there, what is your party bringing to the table? I'm hearing that question over and over. In the budget reply, we say, tonight I started reading our proposals for a new government. So please, Ms. Bell, if that is a genuine name, I can read them again. Steps to lower VAT on food. Steps to create, to have discussions with Light and Power, serious discussions in terms of lowering electricity bills in this country. We spoke on housing, to move housing out of the agricultural lands and take it back into the established neighborhoods of Barbados, to have a sports academy, the Barbados Defense Force Sports Program, which produced top athletes in this country, has been closed by this government. This country needs to pursue sport as a professional endeavor, and we need to establish a sport academy embracing and incorporating the Barbados Defense Force sports program. If they want to hear more, we said as well that there needs to be reform to the curriculum, particularly in primary school. We say that. And within a few days of saying that, of having wholesome artistic activity on the established curriculum, I understand one of the ministers of education say, well, he can take food into the school. So they're trying to poach ideas, but not fully understanding what we are saying. So Miss or Mr. Bell, those are some of the things we said in the budget reply. I've come here tonight, I brought the document to repeat some of the things that we are proposing.
Yes.
Yeah,
and perhaps, I mean, this show we had just in let's be honest about it. There are particular things that I wanted Mr. Thorne to deal with tonight, and obviously coming out of the budget and all the things that and the budget response and everything we've been experiencing. So that was not the objective of the show tonight, but this is something in due time, once it's okay with the DLP, we can arrange for another show when that would be the objective. So let's be, in all fairness, I agree, I understand the question, but that's not why he was invited on the show tonight. Okay, just to say, so people, well, Mr. Thorne, we're gonna just close off now. It's 10:21, and it's a marathon show, but we have so much to talk about. Mr. Topping, thank you for coming by.
Thank you, Marcia.
Yes, thank you to all the viewers who joined tonight. Of course, thanks to Dave, who is right there working so hard and getting everything done. Thank you so much. Couldn't do it without you. And I know that, Mr. Thorne, you have your team there as well, working with you at this late hour. So we want to say thanks to every single one of you. And Mr. Thorne and to Mr. Toppin, can you give us your final comments before we close tonight? Mr. Toppin, we want to go first.
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me, and I want to once again encourage, the constituents of St. Lucie, as a matter of fact, all Barbadians to come out to the Love March tomorrow. It is indeed serious, like Comrade Thorne would have said. The seriousness of these matters cannot be understated, because I'm seeing a lot of comments and people are asking if they can be reversed, and as Comrade Thorne said, they realistically cannot. It is done. So, let that resonate with you tonight for a little bit, and then make your way to Folkestone for 10 o'clock for the Love March.
Yes, most definitely. And just before Mr. Thorne gives his final statement, we have to have a little fun on the show tonight. And Dave and we had a clip for you, Mr. Thorne, for the people to see. But I'm just telling that, have it prepared, Dave, so we can have a little laugh before we go. But go ahead, Mr. Thorne. Let's do something serious, and then we have some fun. Go ahead.
Yes. To reiterate what I was said about the march tomorrow, let us see this march as a fresh beginning, the legitimate voices of protest. Let us move into a phase of having the courage to speak, and having the courage to register protest against the government. And that is important, because if these voices of protest remain silent, the government will continue to erode the rights of Barbadians. Let tomorrow be a part of that new beginning. Let us come in our numbers. Let us come peacefully, but let that peaceful protest register with the government that the people in Barbados have had enough of the nonsense, they've had enough of the injustice, they've had enough of the disrespect, they've had enough of the indifference towards the rights of Barbadians. Everybody, please come tomorrow early, 10 at the latest, so that we can peacefully tell this government that Barbadians are tired. They're tired of these stuff. I look forward to seeing you there tomorrow, Mark.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Dave, thank you for that, Mr. Thorne. Dave, are you ready? Yes. So, Mr. Thorne, this is you missed an opportunity from this lady. Okay, this lady had an opportunity for you, and I tell you, I've never met your wife, but I think she has competition. So, we like to have fun. Dave and I laugh at this all the time. So, Dave, Dave, play the clip, Dave.
We're going to live with the people and live in love and unity so that things could be good and that we can live the way we really supposed to be living. Yeah. Because right now, as the material world develops, I find that the people get away from the way of living and you understand, and get lost in that world. And we need to bring back this love and this unity so that things could be right and that we could be as one people and live and let Jah smile upon us.
Yes. Yeah. All right, Greg.
Yes, ma'am. My brother, take care.
All I want to do is bless you, Mr. Thorne.
Well, bless
a
me.
little prayer.
Thank you.
Say a prayer for the morning.
All morning.
Lord, I ask you to bless this man and guide the put the garden into the right company.
Good.
Amen.
What's it do? Vaccine. You got a real old-fashioned vaccine.
Yeah.
If you were young, you would be named Shakwani.
I'll be marked you.
I know, we just thought we had to laugh. The people love you, Mr. Thorne. They love you. They love you. They love you. Good night, everybody.
Hi. Have a good night, Marcia. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
See you tomorrow.
Promise
us a better tomorrow.